This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
Place to Be Nation Wrestling Network. Welcome back to the latest episode, and hopefully, by the time it's all said and done, the greatest episode of Who's Next. I'm Andy Atherton, one of your co-hosts. It's been a bit. Summertime and some personal life things happen, get in the way of doing this fun hobby, if you will, passion of those of us who do the cast of pods, if you will. But we're back talking about our favorite brand, and who is our, not just me, it is the Mississippi Mud Pie, Logan Crosland. Logan, I missed you. It's been a bit, and I'm so glad to be back here talking NXT with you, my friend.
It has been far too long, and we have quite the virtue ahead of us to get through these. But we will do it, and we will do it for your listening pleasure, and we'll hopefully make it as entertaining as we possibly can. So, well,
we hope so. I hope. Try. Yeah. No, it's a lot has happened. We do try to get these on a regular basis, but sometimes stuff happens, and a lot happened though this summer on NXT, which is basically what we're going to cover today. We're going all the way back to July 18th, and we're going all the way up to the latest episode on September 19th. Some things we're going to, kind of go through, just mention a little bit, and other things we're going to dive deeper into the things that are more, the bigger angles, the bigger occurrences, the angles, the matches, the results, the changes, the what have you. Because, by the time we get to the end of the show, man, wow, the last episode or so really was pretty great, and it's because of one person making their return to the NXT brand. And y'all, if y'all listening, you all know by now, but we'll get there. Okay, we gotta walk before we can run. So, going all the way back to July 18th, and we get Carmelo Hayes blaming Ilya Dragunov for costing him and Trick the main event the week before. The star made it clear that he was doing what he needed to do in order to finally fight for the NXT Championship. They start with the segment ends with them eye to eye. So then our first match of that night was Los Lotharios versus Nathan Frazier and Dragon Lee, who were accompanied by Valentina Feroz and Yulisa Leon. After Los Lotharios got too focused on flirting with the ladies at ringside, Nathan Frazier took them out with a drop kick and an outside dive. He sent Humberto back to the ring to take a tilt-a-whirl, inverted DDT to win. After the match, Garza yelled at Humberto until he got pushed to the floor. Humberto walked down with his partner through the crowd. So Los Lotharios, they were free agents, I guess, in the draft, and they're a team that needed to go to NXT because they were kind of lost in the main roster. Those are the kind of guys at the moment who people are like, oh, they're not on TV, but these are the guys that take the losses on the house shows, right? There's a purpose to why they're there. They're both very talented, but they really didn't get any traction on the main roster. They were starting to get something as a tag team, but we're going to talk about them a bit tonight on our episode of this pod. So what are your thoughts on Los Lotharios and their return to NXT?
Kind of like you said, they could only benefit from coming down to NXT. They could be a little bit more featured. They're both incredible wrestlers. If you've watched any of their singles stuff, I don't think they really get to feature that as a tag team because I just don't think they use them on SmackDown or Raw as often as maybe their talent deserves. But this match was really good. These are four guys that are really, really good wrestlers. So you weren't going to get a bad match out of these guys. They're just that good. So the Los Lotharios. They had a little bit of friction because of the flirting seems to not really be working for them. That's not really getting them wins and not really paying off anything with that scenario or whatever. But it's good to see that they're here in NXT. They can shine, but it's also good that they're going in kind of a different direction, as we'll talk about going forward with them and their vignettes that they have the following weeks.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I thought Angel Garza was great when he was in NXT last time. I thought he was maybe brought up to the main roster a little prematurely. Mm-hmm. And Humberto, kind of, I was getting like, not to this extent, but kind of like Yoshitatsu vibes, like guys good in the ring, but what's his character? What's his personality? We weren't really getting that. And then finally, they cut his hair. He, kind of turns heel and teams up. But yeah, they need to get into the thick of things down there, because I think there are some teams probably that are going to be leaving soon NXT, so they could probably slot in there to be that. As we talk about them, it seems like probably more faces actually. If I'm reading into the where the storyline is going, but yeah, they're going to be there. It can only help them and help the product to see them on there. And then Frazier and Lee, great wrestlers. They both go in their own directions soon thereafter this match. Yeah, and then for us and Leon, they're starting to show up because Leon is back from her injury. So hopefully we see a little bit more from them. I do know that they were on I don't know if it was around this time or not. They were on SmackDown, and I believe they got squashed by I think it was like Alba and Ela, I think, right?
Yes, that was Alba and Ela's first match. I think that was I think that happened during our last episode, but okay. I'm not 100%, but I think it happened the week, maybe 2 weeks, the 2 weeks before we're recording tonight, okay. I guess is what I mean.
Right. Yeah, so it was a bit ago, but it's good to see them back. All right, so we got a match: Gigi Dolan versus Kiana James. Kiana goes over with her 401k move on the bag after it was brought into the ring. This match was kind of, Gigi is kind of in the mix, but not sure where she's going. But Kiana looks like she's on the upswing, kind of making some changes. We're going to see to her a little bit more, I guess, serious or focused. Her gear is changing. Her finisher is changing. What do you think of this short little match?
Yeah, it was exactly that. It was short. It could only be so good for as short as it was, but it was kind of sloppy. We kind of talked about it pre-show, but Gigi's one of those that I think deep down she's pretty good, but she is real, up and down. I feel like she has the cage match with Jacey that I think we talked about on our last episode. That was really good. But she has matches like this where it's just man, she's just in absolute slow motion, and it just looks like she doesn't know what she's doing. And I don't think her and Kiana were a good base for each other, so it just kind of ended up being not very good. But also, it wasn't given a ton of time, so they didn't really have a ton of time to work with. So not their best performance, but they weren't given a ton of time either. Yeah,
they kind of lack in the in-ring chemistry phase, these two. And that happens.
Yeah.
All right. So now we got Axiom and Scrypts versus the new team of Bronco Nima and Lucian Price. After a few minutes into the match, Scrypts ends up blasting Axiom with a right hand, watches as Nima and Price picked up the pieces. They win by hitting a corner clothesline, followed by an Irish whip into a big boot. So, Axiom and Scrypt have been, tagging for a bit, and then, it kind of seemed kind of quick for this turn, but I think as we go through the next, few weeks or so, we'll start to learn of this partnership and kind of what the point is of this. But what do you think of these guys? They're kind of green, a little bit raw in the ring. They definitely need maybe to have a third person with them, whether it's a manager or a
hype man, or
hype man, what's it called? What the little guy was with the AOP, like that, like a guy that he could be their manager, and but he could also get in the ring. He could also move to the point. But what are your thoughts on these guys?
Yeah, they're big bruisers. They're going to have a bunch of power matchups, which I feel like all the new teams we've gotten lately have all been big bruiser kind of guys. Yeah. We don't have any real. I mean, I guess Los Lotharios are smaller, kind of high flyers, but we've gotten Tank and Hank. We've got these guys. Briggs and Jensen just got back together, so lot of brute force in this tag team division for sure. But yeah, like you said, they're green, they're raw, but I think they'll come around. Like you said, I think they kind of need a heater, I guess is the word maybe you're looking for. Drake Maverick was the guy that with the
that's right. I couldn't remember all of his names.
Yeah, but he could maybe talk for him a little bit. He can talk probably a little better than both of these guys, and he can be involved in six mans every now and then. if they need him to. So, yeah, I'm excited to see what they do. But yeah, very green, but also very powerful and very strong and can chuck people around. So
yeah, very athletic. Shades of AOP, actually, I think. Like very kind of in that same mold, I think. All right, so then we get the D'Angelo family celebrating, in the ring with their family. We got Gallus coming out. Brawl starts with the family, ended up on top with their NXT Tag Team Championships. And then we move on to Thea versus Elektra Lopez. Elektra Lopez dominating the match, but Thea reversed it right into the Kimura lock to force a tap out. After the match, Thea calls out Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany walked out and accepted a rematch. Thea wanted to make a submission match, and she trapped the champion in a Kimura until she accepted. So, the whole Gallus and the family stuff, that was some really good stuff. I enjoyed that because, they're kind of like turf war, kind of like you have the Italians and the Scots, Irish, or whatever. First, and then we move on to Thea continuing that storyline of hers with working with, Drew Gulak and Charlie Dempsey, learning the submission stuff. But Thea, we're in for a ride with Thea. It seems like coming up. But what are you thinking here with Thea and Elektra? And this was a short match. I mean, Elektra and Lola are starting to get featured more, which is good. But yeah, Thea, we're gonna be talking about her a bit.
Yeah, it was more of a setup for the angle with Tiffany. I'd say it was more to get Thea over and the submission over, as she was going to ask for a submission match after that. I thought that little angle after the match was pretty good. And, welcoming back Tony D, it was good to see him back on TV. I'm assuming he had an injury that he was, while he was in prison. I think that's kind of why they took him out for a little bit. I assume he had some kind of injury that he was healing up. But it was very good to see him back. I thought that was very well done, that whole segment with the family and everything. And they are from Scotland. Callum McDougall would be very offended that you thought they may be Irish.
No, I knew that. I knew the coffee. So they're all Scottish. I thought I knew the coffees were Scottish. I guess Wolfgang. Yeah. So I apologize, Cal. I'm sorry. Thought they would have mixed. How many? You could have one hell of a Scottish faction in WWE, couldn't you? These days. I mean, there's at least 4, 5 women with Scottish women, right? You have Isla, Alba, Piper, Nikki.
Yeah, Nikki Cross.
I think that, and then all the guys between Drew and Gallus. Yeah, there's a lot going on there, so could be quite the faction if they ever did that.
The Hot Scots. I'm just kidding.
the Tartan whatever. All right, so Eddie or Callum McDougall's wet dream. I don't know, everyone. Yeah, all right, so Eddie Thorpe versus Oro Mensah with the help of Lash Legend, Jahar Jackson, Noam Dar, and Dijak. Oro Mensah pulled off a huge upset over Eddie Thorpe with a running, spinning heel kick in the corner. It was kind of a little shocking after Thorpe's impressive win in NXT Underground. However, he was heavily protected. Dijak versus Thorpe is a smart feud for both men that will get the Alpha Wolf right back on track. Oro Mensah is a guy that, he's going to get better. He needed a personality, I think, and the Metaphor is really going to start coming into their own as a faction. And, Eddie Thorpe's a guy that, he's got a good look. His character is okay, but, he's going to develop more. And he's going to step into a pretty big feud with Dijak coming up. Any thoughts on this match?
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty good back and forth. Obviously, Dijak leads to Oro getting the win here. But yeah, the Metaphor group gets a lot of feature as we go forward on this episode. And so does Eddie with the Dijak feud. So interesting to see, and we'll talk about where these 2, 3, 4, however many people go as we talk on.
All right. So then we go to Roxanne Perez walking out on a joint interview with Blair Davenport. Blair tells Roxanne that she's not ready to compete in the new NXT. Prodigy responded by promising to bring a rage that she has never shown before. Davenport continues to mock Perez until the Prodigy walked out on the interview. We had an NXT Anonymous catching Booker T motivating Roxanne earlier in the day. We also get Dana Jordan, Dana Brooke and Kalani Jordan doing some impressive gymnastics exercises together. And we move on to our main event for the night, which is our North American champion, Wes Lee, defending against Dirty Dom with Rhea at ringside. Rhea was the deciding player in this match, bashing Wes Lee with the Women's World Championship, while Finn and Damian Priest played distraction. Dominic covered him to win the NXT North American Championship. This was... I had a feeling that this was going to happen because I didn't see Dom winning a singles title on the main roster yet. Lee had a great reign. He broke pretty much every record for a North American champion, but he was protected in the loss because it basically took like the whole Judgment Day to beat him. And then Mustafa Ali was, talking about the Great American Bash, how will the title change for the PLE? Many questions are left unanswered following a genuinely surprising result. So, what do you think of the first of all, we got the Roxanne Blair Davenport thing, and then we get the NXT new North American champion in Dirty Dom.
Yeah, the back and forth with Roxanne and Blair was pretty good. I think the interaction they have, I think the next week is a little bit better. We'll talk about that when we talk about next week's episode. But yeah, I mean, Wes isn't going to put on a bad match with anybody. This is probably one of his less strong outings, I guess, just because Dominic is Dominic, But it was still a really good match. Obviously, Judgment Day is super over right now. They're just killing it every week, anything they do. So you want to put them on as many brands as you can, and obviously that's even more the case when Finn and Damian win the tag titles on the main roster a little bit further down from this. But yeah, they're just trying to get them on every program right now just because they're doing so much good stuff. So, but yeah, I had a feeling Dominic would win here too. It's just another way to get them a ton of heat. So, and he's a good smarmy little prick, and he has a very good mommy in his corner that can always help him out a little bit. So I think he's in for a pretty good heel reign going forward. Yeah.
We also had a little part where Rhea Ripley called out Lyra Valkyria backstage, telling her to make a statement at the expense of Jacey Jayne. And earlier also we had Mustafa Ali questioning Wes Lee, giving Dominic a title match. So a little more drama in the backstage areas. And we move on to our next show, which is from July 25th. And we have opening up, we have Wes Lee and Mustafa Ali coming to blows after confronting Dom Mysterio and Rhea Ripley. Wes Lee interrupted Dirty Dom and Rhea, challenging him to a match on Tuesday night. Angry Mustafa Ali arrived as well. A brawl broke out between the two of them, with Dom and Rhea Ripley walking out smiling. We got a lot of booing, whether it was piped in or not, it's another story. Rhea responded to the cut your mullet chants by making it clear that he would never cut his hair. Lyra Valkyria also explained in an interview that she wanted to see where she stands in the women's division by fighting Rhea Ripley. It was later announced that Dom would defend against both Ali and Lee at the Great American Bash. Dirty Dom did not seem confident in his chances. So continuing on from last week, we're setting up for what will prove to be a really good three-way match for the NXT North American title. What are you thinking of Ali and Wes Lee and Dom in this little triangle here that we have going on?
Yeah, I mean, Ali was, I think they had already announced the match for Great American Bash that him and Wes Lee were going to face each other. And then, Wes kind of gave Dom that shot the previous week. So it kind of ruined Ali's plans when Dominic won the title, because Ali was supposed to be the person that took the title from Wes Lee and into the reign. So good little fuel to that fire for that feud. And the three-way that you mentioned that was going to happen at Great American Bash. So good little segment. I think Mommy kind of talked Dirty Dom into the three-way, but well, that sounded inappropriate. But anyways, but yeah, I think it was going to be a good match. But it was exciting to hear that it was official after this little segment.
Yeah, we got to try to keep it a family show if we can.
Yeah, sorry about that. Whoa.
I know. Hey, now. All right, so we move on to a 6-man match. We got Carmelo Hayes, Trick Williams, and Ilya Dragunov versus Schism. We get, Ilya and Carmelo obviously not on the same page, but 2 masked men attacked the dyad at ringside. This left Joe Gacy alone. Melo got a blind tag and hit nothing but net to win. In the match, Trick took incidental contact from Ilya and blamed the challenger for intentionally trying to take him out. Also, during this match, we had Melo saving Trick from a double suplex and hitting side-by-side running clotheslines. The Tsar accidentally caught Trick with a running uppercut into steel steps. Backstage, Trick onto Dragunov's face despite Melo telling him to back off. Melo warned Dragunov that Trick was going to call him out for a fight by the end of the night. The Tsar was not worried, warning Trick that he would be broken. So this was a fun match. Obviously, the Schism is kind of cracking here, plus with the whoever these 2 mysterious members are that takes out the dyad. And we get, the enemies having to or rivals having to work together with the addition of Trick. But I enjoyed this match. What did you think of it?
No, yeah, it was very good. Good to see the champion and challenger kind of teaming up with each other. I think they work pretty well as a team together with Trick as well. And yeah, Schism's kind of cracking. They have traitors in their midst with the masked strangers that keep attacking them and helping the opposition out. So they've got some traitors in their midst, but they don't quite know who it is. I think most of us saw who it was. When they ever reveal it, it's obviously pretty obvious who it is throughout the feud. But really good 6-man here.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we get Von Wagner versus Big Body Javi, our old friend.
Hey,
but cut to this week while we're recording. Big Body Javi got to be do something right because him and Tam Paxley just got engaged. So I know they're both like real listeners to this show, so we'll say congratulations to them. We looking for invitations to the engagement party in the mail.
I've always been a fan, Big Body Javi.
Yeah, sure. I don't really know. But no, good. The guy's a decent worker. He just needs his character. He just needs some character work there. I mean, you enjoy it more than I do. But he's kind of like a more talented Santino Marella. It's kind of what it is at the moment, but who knows? This was basically a squash with Von making short work of Javi beating him down before hitting the rotating side slam for the victory. Afterwards, Von sends Big Body Javi through the announce table by the will of the NXT universe. The big man could not celebrate, though, as Braun Breaker speared him onto the floor and smacked him with a steel chair. Big Body Javi apparently had asked for this match due to interaction at a recent NXT house show. Booker T talked up Burnell's aggressive side before he was crushed. After Breaker's sneak attack, the crowd chanted, "You still suck" at him. and then we get a hype vignette for Tiffany Stratton afterwards. So what do you think of this squash with Von? And we got, Von, we'll be talking about him a bit more too as well as we go through these weeks.
Yeah, I mean, he just absolutely destroys Javi here and tables him afterwards. So that was a ton of fun to watch. And then Braun just absolutely wrecks Von with a spear. His spear is becoming one of my favorites because he just absolutely nails guys with it and just goes right through them. So definitely an interesting person to kind of throw Braun in there with. Von hadn't been presented as like a main event kind of guy, or even really in North American kind of level. So interesting to see them throw him in there with like one of the bigger dudes and kind of one of the guys that you think is eventually probably going to get called up here pretty soon. So definitely an interesting way to go.
Yeah, I agree. Then we get Gable Stevenson's going to choose to make his NXT debut. He chooses to make his NXT debut at Great American Bash.
Wrong.
He weighed his options, possibly going after another national championship or a second Olympic gold medal, but Corbin interrupts. Then we get, Stevenson suplexes the Lone Wolf and challenges him to a match. He's coming along in ring, but his promo is terrible. I'm not looking forward to this. Really. I mean, the guy's got a long way to go. He's got a pedigree, walking in. What do you think about this one? As we're about, because after we get done with this episode, we will talk about the Great American Bash.
Yeah, I'll just put it this way. There's a reason he's been in NXT since, or at the PC even, not even really NXT. There's a reason he's been in the PC for almost, or over a year at this point. Something obviously in clicking, he's obviously not Kurt Angle, the last Olympic gold medalist that was in their midst. He didn't grab onto it quite like he did, obviously. His promo is, kind of what you would expect from a rookie or somebody that may have just come out of the PC. We'll talk about the match at Great American Bash, but I don't know how true reports are, but he may not be long for the NXT world. So we'll see, but we'll talk about the match when we get to it.
Oh, good God. Help us all. So then we got a kendo stick match, Cora Jade versus Dana Brooke with Kalani Jordan. Dana Brooke made Cora Jade pay by using a variety of kendo sticks to wipe out her challenger. With some help from Kalani Jordan, she hit a senton bomb onto Jade with kendo sticks and a steel chair beneath her to win. So we get, a couple of notes here that Dana immediately went after Jade and dumped her over the announce table. Jade responded by tripping her onto the table and smacking her with a kendo stick. Cora tried to introduce a steel chair, but Kalani Jordan got involved to help Brooke, handing her weapons to help protect herself. So, and we also get a little bit of some footage, a package on in the private ring. Damon Kent convinced Drew Gulak and Charlie Dempsey to work with him, and we also get NXT showing footage of Roxanne Perez and Blair Davenport fighting at a gas station as the Prodigy stood tall. So, what's going on with Cora Jade? Because we'll talk about Dana in a second, but Cora Jade, I mean, did she go and get some surgery? That some women get, and that's why she goes off TV for a bit and kind of like walks out at one point. Because we don't really see Cora much after this, right? We haven't really seen much of her since this, or does she come back?
I don't think we've seen her at all, honestly.
Yeah, didn't she do something where she walked out or something like that? Because I remember seeing it in the notes, but I do remember something like that happening.
She might have. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
I definitely think she got some assets improved
some enhancements
while she was out. So, but yeah, I mean, she seems aimless. As much of a star as I think she will eventually be. I mean, if she was going out for an injury and that at the same time or something like that, obviously it was needed. But yeah, I feel like every time she comes back, it's like they kind of don't know what to do with her. I think she's good. I think she will get better, obviously, but ever since she turned heel, I feel like they start to ramp her up and then they kind of pull back, and then they start to ramp her up and kind of pull back. So I just don't know if they know what to do with her, or if she's just really getting hurt as often as it seems like she is. But who knows? Yeah, hopefully she figures it out.
Hopefully she doesn't have the Chelsea affliction at Chelsea. No, she's good. She's got a tremendous upside. I think she's still very young. She's good in the ring. I kind of thought the heel turn was a little premature. I would like to have seen it.
It was very out of nowhere for sure.
Yeah. So, and then Dana, I guess, is trying to be Mandy Rose 2.0 with the return to NXT to try to revitalize her career, because she's somebody too, and this goes back a while. She came up prematurely because she wasn't in NXT for that long, and I have not really. There's not much she's athletic, she's good looking, she's had some fun stuff, but there's not been a whole lot to write home about her in her stint, right? She was a statistician for Primetime Players at one point. She does all this other stuff and didn't really do much, but she she needs this. She's another one of those that really needs to go down there and really improve her game. So
she's definitely very athletic. Something about her voice just I can't ever get with it for some reason. She just annoys me for some reason. So I don't know if she'll ever catch on with me, but they're trying to give her this little bit of a darker side where she kind of loses control and starts just acting a little bit more vicious than usual. So at least they're trying to do something, but we'll see.
Yeah, they need to. it's smart for them to throw a few veterans in there that weren't really doing anything on the main roster to kind of help out with the kids.
Absolutely.
I think it only helps them. It doesn't take away actually at all, in my opinion. So then we move on to a tag match. We got the family, Tony D and Stacks versus Bronco Nima and Lucian Price. We got Nima and Price dominating early, including taking cheap shots at Stacks to stay in control. Once Tony D got the hot tag, though, he was unstoppable. He sealed the win with the bada boom. And we get Gallus appearing on the Titantron and warned that they were still staying on top after the Great American Bash. While the new team showed more in their second match, they already lost some credibility. The family ran over them to build momentum for their tag title match. It also looks like Scrypts may be working with these two for the long term. Scrypts was on commentary for this match. Booker T awkwardly told Vic Joseph repeatedly to call him Reginald. And we get Axiom attacking Scrypts and running him off the ring. So this was like you said, there's a lot of Haas teams out there. This was a pretty good match. Tony D is so over right now. I mean, the in-ring stuff has gotten better. The character has been there for a while. So they had to stay hot going in. Whether, you want to throw them the new team, I don't think it hurts them that much, actually, to lose to a more established team at this point, because they're going to be a team that's like, they're still young in their teamness, I guess. It's like you see, when Billy and Chuck got put together at first, I'm sure they lost a lot of matches, but once they really got their shit together and became the New Age Outlaws, they were a great team. So that happens when teams first appear or come together. What were your thoughts on this match?
Yeah, I could see the opinion of it being disconcerting that the new team's already losing, but obviously where Tony D and Stacks are going, I don't think it hurts them too bad because they're losing to the eventual. We'll talk about on the next show that we talk about. But yeah, Stacks is one of those that from where he started to where he is now is just he's night and day. It's amazing. He's got the character down. He's pretty good in ring for the most part, and yeah, like you said, Tony D's only gotten better in the ring, and he pretty much had the character down from day one. So. Yeah, solid match. I think it showed how good and powerful that Bronco and Lucian can be. But obviously the challengers for the tag titles needed to get the win here. And you could say that they could have put a different team in there with them, but it was just a warm up to get to the tag title match. So you can have the opinion of it being a bad move, but I really think it's perfectly fine.
Yeah. I mean, because it also moved along the whole Scrypts involvement as well. So it kind of served a purpose to have them in there, as opposed to like Idris and No Fay, whatever, those two. But yeah, it was a decent match. So then we get a bunch of like backstage and storyline stuff. We get the Metaphor waking up Noam Dar on Supernova Super Sessions, whatever they're called. The Metaphor presents him with a new Heritage Cup, which awakens him, and he's Scottish, so he could be in that Scottish faction as well.
That's true. From
his catatonic state. We get Nathan Frazier and Dragon Lee questioning the legitimacy of the cup, and then starting a brawl with the Metaphor that also included Yulisa Leon and Valentina Feroz. Then we get Dijak warning Eddie Thorpe not to get too cocky from just one big win. We get Chase U hyping up Thea Hail for her title match at the Great American Bash. Then we get Angel Garza and Boto Carrillo arguing in the parking lot after their loss last week. Umberto made it clear he was done listening to his teammate. So anything of note in any of these backstage storyline things that I mentioned?
How dare you insult the Supernova Sessions? I'm just playing.
I'd love to get Alicia Fox back.
Yeah, I don't know if this was I don't know if the Supernova Sessions was necessarily the first time we should have Lash Legend and what's the other girl's name? Jakira Jackson. Yeah, they did a lot of talking in this, and I don't know that they're necessarily ready to carry a whole segment like this, and Oro either, really, for that matter. Noam definitely needs to be the lead talker on that one. But yeah, I mean, it was fine. It put them over as a group. It woke up Noam from his catatonic state that he was in the wheelchair. I love his gangly hair and his little hat that he had on, just sitting in his little wheelchair. So he pulled off some comedy stuff there. But yeah, just an okay segment, nothing to write home about.
All right. And we get our main event for the night. Well, almost. Our main event match. We have something happens after. We get Rhea Ripley with Dirty Dom versus Lyra Valkyria. Even with Dom helping her, Rhea has a tough time putting away Lyra. Lyra nearly won off a frog splash, but after a kick out, the Eradicator got serious and took the win with the Riptide. After the win, Ripley refocused Valkyria on making Jacey Jayne pay, defeating her soundly when they fought next. When Ripley, she hadn't been wrestling on television as much, but when she does, she delivers. Some notes from the match. Ripley catches Valkyria with a running with a headbutt, and then she went for a frog splash, but then Valkyria knocked her off the post to the floor. We get Dirty Dom taking the suicide dive to save Mommy, but it didn't stop Lyra from taking down Ripley with a head scissors takedown, followed by a DDT and a frog splash to almost win. So, we knew Lyra wasn't going to win here, but she, she was doing great, but she was, we have talked about her finishing kick, what her success rate is on it. That has been getting better. I also think, though, she's too small to have the frog splash as her finisher. She needs to do something else, I think, in my opinion. But I kind of like, she's getting a serious rub. Now that comes out wrong,
Ew.
trying to keep it a family show. But she's getting a serious rub, and it's going to even go up more as we go. But yeah, I really think that she has gotten even better in the ring, and I think Rhea is Rhea. Rhea is awesome, is great. As she could have a great match with anybody, it seems like these days. And this was, I really enjoyed this match. What do you think of it?
Yeah, it's good to have these main roster girls come down and have some of these, kind of highlight matches for some of these more up and comers, the ones that are more featured. And it made Lyra look like she can hang with one of the best champions in the company going right now. Rhea's on top of the world. She's having pretty good matches with pretty much everybody, dominating on Raw a lot. So good to see that one of the NXT girls can kind of hang with her and have a competitive match. Only does a ton for Lyra, makes her seem super over, and that she can, easily go to the main roster and hang with pretty much anybody up there because she can hang with the champ. But yeah, good on Rhea to have a pretty good match here with her. But yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed it for sure.
All right, so in the final segment of the show, we get Trick Williams calling out Ilya Dragunov. The Tsar answers. No one contender comes out in fancy black attire, wipes out Trick, and after a series of chops, he hits 2 running low forearms. Carmelo makes the save, taking the Torpedo Moscow for Trick. It was, extremely heated segment that we had involving the NXT Championship this year. The way Dragunov Coley stomped to the ring to lay out Trick after warring to the back was next level greatness. He looked unstoppable, and NXT, this was smartly booked to never make him the outright heel. Melo did not want Trick to take this fight. Dragunov did not want Trick to take this fight. Trick did anyway, and he paid for it. So I thought they really did a great job setting up Dragunov versus Carmelo Hayes for Great American Bash, especially with this final segment. What do you think of it?
Yeah, and it made Trick look like he's a star, being in there with obvious main eventer and Ilya, going back and forth with him. The review I have pulled up mentioned something about, like, some fights in WWE, the security immediately comes out and breaks it up, but like for some reason in this one, this was just a fight, and no security came out and did anything about it. They just let them brawl for like five or 6 minutes, obviously. So I think that's pretty funny that person pointed that out. But yeah, I mean, it made Trick look like a badass hanging with him, and obviously Carmelo's a good friend and comes out and tries to save Trick, but ends up taking the headbutt of his own. So it gives you that last little push to this title match that they have coming up at Great American Bash.
All right. So then we move on to the Great American Bash that took place on July 25th from the Austin suburb of Cedar Park, Texas. So we're going to run down the matches, give a few thoughts. So we had a match, I think on the pre-show, I think this was an 8-person mixed tag match. We have Nathan Frazier, Elisa Leon, Valentin Feroz, and Dragon Lee versus the Metaphor. And we had, the non-Metaphor winning the match. So anything to talk about on that one?
I don't remember a ton of it, but I do think I remember it being pretty. It was just a way to kind of excite the crowd. Dragon Lee and Mason Frazier obviously look really good in it, and I think it was a good little showcase for them as they get the victory. So pretty good performance for the face team.
All right, so then we get our next match, which is for the NXT Tag Team Championships. We have the family, Tony D'Angelo and Channing Stacks Lorenzo challenging Gallus, Wolfgang, and Mark Coffey, along with Joe Coffey. And in the end, we have new tag team champions. I really enjoyed this match. I thought it was a hard-hitting match. The right team went over. Gallus is not bad, right? But I think it was time for Tony D to have gold. And like you said, Stacks has really come along, from when he first came in, when it was him and Two Dimes. Hanging out. You kind of thought he was going to kind of be a little bit lost a little bit when they let Two Dimes go. But, he really turned into the second. His character developed, and he really, did a lot with the whole Tony D, in prison stuff. So, I really enjoyed this match, and I thought the right team won the titles. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, with the whole storyline and the Tony D going to prison and getting stuck in there for weeks and weeks and weeks. This was the only way that they could do it. They had to win the titles here, or it just wouldn't have seemed right. I agree with you. I think this match was really good. I think everybody did their part. I feel like we've been disappointed in Gallus's PLE performances so far. Like, not that they're bad, but none of their matches hit that next gear for some reason. I don't know what it is, but I feel like this one actually did. So the crowd popped huge for the title change. So I think it was a really good and really well executed for sure.
All right. So next we get a Wild Weapons match, which is Roxanne Perez versus Blair Davenport. The opening stages, Perez was making her entrance. Blair jumps her over the barricade and attacks. She then delivers Roxanne delivers a cross body from the barricade to Davenport. Lots of weapons in this one. A lot of chairs used. As Perez was attempting pop rocks, Blair countered it into an Alabama slam. Then she delivered a Falcon Arrow to Roxanne on a trash can for a 2 count. Perez then delivered knee strikes into the steps and a diving splash onto a table and a pop rocks onto a pile of chairs for win. This, I think Roxanne going over was the right call here. It was kind of it wasn't a mess, but it was a lot going on in here. These two got into kind of like a blood feud very quickly. It did get amped up with the whole the brawl at the gas station, but I thought it was, for a weapons match, I thought it wasn't bad, actually. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the brawl at the gas station really seemed to bring out a new side of Roxanne. She's tired of Blair messing with her and giving her shit, so she was finally going to give it back. And in this match, we saw definitely a different side of her, much more physical, used a bunch of weapons, did a bunch of things that you don't usually see her do. So, and her sister and mom, with their terrible acting, were front row for this one. So we got to focus on them a little bit too much during this match.
Yeah.
But I think it was sloppy, but it was like designed sloppy, if that makes sense. Like, it was sloppy on purpose just to make it seem like it was they were really beating the shit out of each other, which I think they were. So I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good physical weapons match for sure.
All right, next up we have Gable Steveson facing Baron Corbin. In the closing stages of the match, Steveson delivers a German suplex onto the outside, locked in the ankle lock, but Corbin escaped it, threw him into the ring post, and Corbin delivered a fireman's carry driver and a lariat for a 2 count. Steveson then threw Corbin over the announce table, but Corbin immediately delivered a flying forearm. Both men then threw themselves over the announce table as the referee reached for the count of 10, forcing a double count out. After the match, Steveson and Corbin continued fighting, with both men attacking WWE security and Steveson delivering a belly to back suplex to Corbin into the barricade. Yeah. Uh, I don't. Look, it's been a while since I've seen this match, to be honest. I think the one thing about Corbin is I think they trust him. I think he's one of those guys like who's well liked backstage, even though in the crowd he just happens to be like a heat magnet, right? They put him in with Gable Steveson. There was a lot of people they could have put in him, Steveson in with, but they put Corbin in because one, Corbin could take the loss. Who cares? The other one is though he's gonna protect the guy, right?
Yes, I think he's very safe. I think they trust him that he's not going to hurt anybody. So, but you keep going. Sorry.
Yeah. No. I was pretty much done. I mean, it was what it was. Neither, kind of ends in a schmoz. What are your thoughts on it?
I mean, the match in-ring wasn't great. I mean, he hit a couple of suplexes that were pretty impressive. Obviously, they're trying to make him Kurt 2.0, which is probably a mistake from the very beginning anyways. Like you said, Corbin's a guy that's I think is good enough to kind of be a base for these guys that they're maybe trying to get over that may not be as talented, but he can be that heat magnet. He can be that base for them to get all their cool shit in on. But I mean, it just was kind of sloppy at spots. And like, if you're going to debut a new character and he's supposed to be a big deal, you introduced him at WrestleMania and he's supposed to be this big thing, you would have thought you would have given him a win in his first match. But ending with the double count out just seemed like a real weird way to book it, and real weird. I mean, considering how the match wasn't all that great leading up to that. Definitely made it even worse. So, and the crowd's chanting bullshit and shitting on it the whole time. So, not a great showing here by either guy.
Has there ever been like this result in somebody's debut match?
Not that I know. I'm not off the top of my head. I'm sure somewhere down the line, but yeah.
I would have been pissed if the Rumble with Taz and Kurt Angle, that was a double count out.
Yeah.
I would have been pissed because I was at that live. I would have been pretty mad if there was not a definitive win there by Taz.
Even if it's like a smaller guy, if he gets like a roll up or something like that, you at least gotta have him win. Obviously in this, you gotta, just make Corbin tap. He's not gonna.
Or have him even if it's like a fluke win, even if he does deep six and he managed to roll through it or something like that.
And the brawl was supposed to make him seem more badass after the match, but they had lost the crowd at that point, so it was pointless.
And it's hard to lose an NXT crowd, I gotta tell you.
Yeah,
NXT PLE crowds are pretty hot usually from start to finish.
Yeah.
So next we have our match for the NXT North American Championship. Dirty Dom defending against Wesley and Mustafa Ali. In the opening stages, Ali and Lee delivered simultaneous chops in the corner of Dom. Then we get both Ali and Lee on the top rope. Dominic pushes both men to the outside. Then they both deliver three amigos to Dom at the same time for a 2 count. Lee then delivers a diving Meteora to Dominic, but Ali breaks up the pin as Ali was attempting a 450 splash on the apron to both Lee and Dominic. Both men moved out of the way. Dom then delivered a schoolboy pin to Lee for a 2 count. Lee then delivered a suicide dive to Dominic. As Lee was attempting another suicide dive to Dominic, Ripley stood in front of Lee to prevent him, but Lee immediately delivered a top rope Kangiro over Ripley onto Dominic. As Lee was attempting to bring Dominic back in the ring, Ripley stops him and delivers a riptide through the table. Dominic then hit Lee with the Women's World Championship for a 2 count. As Dom was attempting the frog splash, Ali delivered a drop kick to him and delivered the 450 splash to Lee, but Ripley pulled Ali out of the ring to stop the pinfall attempt, allowing Dom to deliver the frog splash to Lee and retain the title. Yeah, I don't think Dom was going to be a one and done with this title. I think he's going to hold it for a bit. No, but as usual, the NXT North American Championship is close to, if not the match of the night. I enjoyed it. 3 guys that can move. Dom has really, talk about Stax's journey. Talk about Dom's journey, right? Mm-hmm. Dom's somebody who for the longest time, at least I was thinking this kid should have been in NXT. This kid should not have been on the main roster. But I think he's learned. He's gotten better. His character work, his in-ring has improved. His in-ring was okay to begin with, actually.
Yeah.
considering his dad Eddie. But no, I'm kidding. But no, it's and Lee and Mustafa. Those are both guys are super solid in the ring. This there was no way this was going to be a stinker. What do you think of the match?
Yeah, even with just Ali and Wes in there, it was definitely never going to be a stinker. And yeah, like you said, Dom's come a long way. He's still not the best in ring, but he makes up for it with getting a ton of heat and being kind of a dick to the fans and everybody else. So I think Ripley played a big part in this match. I think she improved it even more than, like you said, it's the North American title match is usually a match of the night when you get to these PLEs. So she only added to it. I thought Ali and Wes's stuff was really good. I thought the table spot was really awesome with the riptide. I thought that was great. And the way the finish happened, I thought it was really well done. Ali seems to have it won. And Ripley pulls him out at the last second, and Dom hits that frog splash and wins in honor of his father, Eddie Guerrero. But yeah, solid match. Probably would have been match of the night on any other PLE, but we'll talk about one later that I think takes that cake for the night.
Then we have in our penultimate match, we have Tiffany Stratton defending her NXT Women's Championship against Thea Hail, who's accompanied by Andre Chase and Duke Hudson in a submission match. In the opening stages, Stratton locked into Romeo Special, but Hail reversed it into a Fujiwara armbar, but Stratton escaped. Stratton then delivered a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker and a handspring back elbow. Hail then delivered an avalanche fisherman suplex, but as Hail was attempting the springboard senton, Stratton countered it into a body scissors. Thea then locks in the Kimura lock, but Stratton reaches the ropes. Stratton then threw Hail into the steel steps, delivered the prettiest moonsault ever, locked in a Boston Crab, but Hail refused to tap out. As Thea was attempting to reach the ropes, Stratton dragged her back into the ring and locked in a half Boston Crab to prevent more damage to the back. Cornerman Andre Chase threw in the towel, forcing the referee to call the match, and thus Stratton retained the title. Again, another match, I enjoyed it. Did I think it was the greatest match? No, but I thought it told a really good story, especially with the towel getting thrown in to protect her, which is going to lead to some more character work with Thea. But Tiffany looked great. She's got all the star making ability. Her in ring is there, and yeah, I enjoyed this match. It's probably number 3 match of the night, which is not a slight on it at all. Actually, even between that and then the tag match. This was a pretty solid show, top to bottom.
Yeah, top to bottom, it was very good.
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on this women's title match?
Yeah, I thought it was really good as well. The finish, obviously, is leading to maybe a character change for Thea after this, as we'll talk about. But I remember not loving it when it first happened, especially because Tiffany has like the worst Boston Crab in when it happens. She barely has it locked in by the time the towel gets thrown in. She needs to work on her Boston Crab after this. But it was late in the match; they had been worn out. I understand you could kind of play that aspect, and maybe she was kind of worn down, and she was just stretching her as much as she could. But yeah, I remember live not loving the towel throw in, but obviously it's leading to something else. But the two girls put on a heck of a match before that, I'd say. So another strong match.
Yeah, all right. So in our main event, we got Carmella Hayes with Trick Williams defending the NXT Championship against Ilya Dragunov. In the opening stages, Hayes delivered a shoulder tackle, a springboard clothesline, and a pump kick for a 2 count. Dragunov then delivered an enziguri, a German suplex, and a lariat for a 2 count. Dragunov then delivered a jumping kick and a German suplex for another 2 count. Ilya delivers a ripcord forearm and a chop for another 2 count. Then Hayes immediately delivered a super kick, but Dragunov immediately delivered a lariat for another 2 count. Lots of pinfall attempts here by Ilya in this match. Dragunov then locked in the Cobra Clutch, but Hayes countered into a pin for a 2 count. Dragunov then delivered a roundhouse kick. As Hayes was attempting a leg lariat, Dragunov blocked into an enziguri, but Hayes immediately delivered Mystica. As Dragunov was attempting a chop, Hayes delivered a knee smash, a lariat, and a springboard DDT for a near fall. As Hayes was going to the top rope, Dragunov pushed him down, delivering a diving senton for a 2 count. As Ilya was attempting the coast to coast, Hayes countered it into a code breaker, But as Hayes was attempting nothing but net, Dragunov countered it into a powerbomb, delivering a jumping forearm for another 2 count. As Dragunov was attempting an avalanche fisherman suplex, Carmelo countered it into a mid-air cutter. As Trick Williams was talking to Hayes on the outside, Dragunov delivered a torpedo Moscato to Williams, allowing Hayes to bring Dragunov back into the ring and deliver nothing but net to retain the title. This was a really, really good match. Our buddy Dave Meltzer actually gave it 4.7 stars for that night. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. I really enjoyed it. Dragunov's one of those guys, like, I think there's nothing real else for him to do here at NXT. I did enjoy him being in this feud with Carmelo, but I didn't think he was winning it. I don't think Melo's losing it, at least to him. I think Melo's going to have it for a little while longer, at least, until maybe he gets hot-shotted to the main roster. That would be the only thing I would think. Like, if Carmelo was going to think it, maybe they changed plans with him and was going to bring him up to be part of, this new, faction maybe that Lashley and the Street Profits seem to be forming. Mm-hmm. But no, I thought this was a really good match. Again, another guy who can't have a bad match. Either guy, actually.
Either guy, yeah.
Yeah. But Carmelo a little bit more so than Ilya. But no, this was a fantastic match. What are your thoughts on it?
No, this was outstanding. Probably the NXT match of the year to this point. I would definitely say for sure. Just really good, really physical. Dragunov took him to the breaking point, almost beat him multiple times. I kind of like that he constantly went for pins because it showed how desperate he was to win the championship. And they'll kind of play on it going into the next week. But he hits the torpedo Moscow. And he hits he quote unquote hits the title, and that's kind of what stuns him for the nothing but net at the end. So they'll play into that in the coming weeks. But Trick seems to prove to be the difference once again for Melo, even though he's a face now. So, but yeah, just really, really good stuff. And like you said, these two probably couldn't have a bad match if they tried. But yeah, I don't really know where they're going to go with Carmelo, because I could see what you said, like, him getting called up to the Hurt Business Part 2 with the Street Profits and Lashley. But, Dragunov either has to win the belt at some point and he becomes the champion and the standard bearer, and then Melo kind of goes and does his own thing, or one of the other has to happen. Like Ilya has to go up or Carmelo has to go up. So, I mean, they're obviously on a crash course for another match after the controversy that this one ended with. But, something's got to give with one of those guys, because there's not much either one of them can accomplish, like you said, other than continuing to be the champion.
Yeah, some people are referred to them as the Almighty Prophets.
Okay, I got you. That's a pretty solid name, so I'll go with that as well.
or Dragunov going up and joining Imperium.
Which
would lead to him and Gunther having a feud down the line again, which would be on this time though on the bigger stage. But
that would be
we'll see what happens. So we move on to the follow-up show on August 1st. So it starts off with Tony D and Channing Stacks Lorenzo arriving in the parking lot. They get out of their vehicle. They're immediately attacked by Gallus. Then we move on to our opening match of the night, Lyra Valkyria versus Jacey Jayne. Jayne gave Valkyria a forward spine buster for a 2 count, followed by a super kick. Then Lyra came back with a kick and dove off the top rope with a splash for a pin there. So, we start off with our new champions, which are the only ones we got from the night. Of course, it's a great way to start the show. And we got follow-up with Lyra, beating up Jacey Jayne. Any thoughts on the opening of this episode?
Yeah, it was nice to that damn NXT parking lot. Just an absolutely dangerous place to be. You don't want to pull your car out. You got to be on your. You got to keep your eyes peeled for anybody coming towards you in that NXT parking lot. So, but yeah, it was good to see that. And the Lyra JC match kind of stemmed from the previous night. They had attacked each other backstage at Great American Bash. So that was something that kind of stemmed from PLE. But yeah, a solid match. A way to get Lyra a victory after losing the match to Rhea. But a solid match nonetheless, and Lyra looked pretty good in victory. And we were talking about the kick earlier. I don't think I mentioned anything about it, but I don't remember if it was the Rhea match or this match, but one of these matches she actually hits it pretty snug and like connects with her foot instead of her like thigh. So I think she's starting to get a little better at it. I think somebody told her to stop using it because I think she goes back to the splash at some point in a future episode. So she just needs to come up with something different. I don't know what. She's kind of small, so there's not a ton of stuff that I feel like she could probably do very convincingly, but she needs to figure another finisher out at some point.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Yeah, I do remember there was like one match in this stretch of shows that she like hits it pretty flush and it looked really damn good.
Yeah, I
sat up like I'm watching. Oh shit! Wow, that was a good one.
She hit it. Yes.
So because we've been so critical of her.
Yeah.
So
it just looks so weak. I mean,
yeah. Because she's good in like every other aspect of her game. It's just her finisher. That's God. It's like doesn't leave the best aftertaste in your mouth. It's like eating like a great burger and then like, like what?
Oh,
what is this?
Yeah, and I mean, the splash just looks like a little kid like jumping off a high rise something, like just like a high surface or whatever. Like she just looks like a little kid, just like oh yay.
Also the way she hits it too, like Eddie was not a big guy at all, but Eddie hit it with force.
Yeah,
Eddie's frog splash looked like he was going into you. Like she just looks like she's belly flopping on you, kind of.
Mm-hmm. And RVD wasn't a huge guy either, but he like took off and went like 1,000,000 feet in the air. It seemed like anytime he took off and did the frog splash. So
yeah, and the way like his arms and leg moved, there was force behind it. Yeah. This is just like I'm just gonna jump off of here and woohoo,
belly flop.
Yeah. Catch me! I'm gonna smash you. All right. So we get a backstage segment with Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams, basically Trick telling him that he's his own man. He's got to go his own way, not going to be a sidekick. So it's nice that they split him up without a heel turn.
Yeah,
which is cool. We also have backstage a trainer attending to Stacks. Tony D says Gallus are dead men walking. He says he wants all of Gallus. Stacks told him that it makes 3-on-2. Tony says that he's got to go make a call. You know what I'm saying? And we get in the ring, we get Rhea Ripley saying Dominic's winning Great American Bash proved he is much more than a man than Wesley or Mustafa Ali. Dominic says he's the greatest luchador that ever lived. Dragon Lee then comes out and tells Dominic that he will not allow him to disrespect the NXT universe or his heritage any longer. Dragon says the greatest luchador of all time is Rey Mysterio and challenged Dominic to a match next week. Dominic accepted. Rhea then said she'll be in his corner. Dragon said he will not be alone either. Then we get Rey Mysterio appearing on the video wall telling Dominic that he will be in Dragon Lee's corner. So we'll pause there. So yeah, like I said, I like that we're not getting subjected to a Trick and Carmelo feud. So, which I think would probably not be great. We may see the two of them in the ring at some point, but I don't think, seeing them in a feud immediately, would not be the best thing. We're going to see something, who's going to be the third man to team with, the family against Gallus to get some revenge. And we set up the next challenger and Rey making his return to the NXT, arena. So what are your thoughts on these little storyline movements forward?
Yeah, I do like that they split Trick and Carmelo up without doing a heel turn feud, because I don't think Trick's quite ready for that, and I think it kind of benefits him in a match that we'll talk about going forward. And obviously Dom getting heat, being a dick, insulting his father and all of the great Mexican luchadors throughout the years, calling himself the greatest luchador of all time. I was excited to see him face Dragon Lee in the next week, and obviously Rey showing up is a big deal. Getting him down there, and even if he's just going to be a manager for a match, but just having his appearance on there might entice a few eyes to come check it out that might not have seen it before.
Yeah, somebody could say, Dom, you're actually more of a lucha bore.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we get back to the back. Yeah, sorry, I'm already loopy. All right, in the back we got Wesley yelling at Carmelo Hayes. Lee says he's lost 3 weeks in a row, while Hayes on top of the world. Then we get Noam Dar and Oro Mensah showing up and said neither Hayes nor Lee will be Heritage Cup champion. Noam Dar tells Lee that Dominic beat him twice. Mensah faced Lee. Hayes then pushed Mensah back, and the officials immediately broke up the four of them. That's going to lead to something. And backstage, we also get Thea Hail saying she gave it all at the Great American Bash, but never gave up. Andre Chase threw in a towel. He said he didn't have a choice. Hail told him he didn't have to throw it in. Baron Corbin showed up and told him their interview was over. Chase says there a lot of time. Corbin told Chase to tell him that he's sorry for crushing all of her dreams and go. Chase said he's surprised he saw the match after being thrown around by Olympic medalists. Corbin said if he shows his face again, Corbin told Hail that this job is not for everybody. He said, you tried, you failed, you should pack your things and find something else to do. And Chase is not going to let him talk to Thea like that. Corbin told him to do something about it, walked away. Chase said he will. So, more with the Wesley thing. I think we've been there before with him a little bit. But, I'm digging this kind of that going face did not make Carmelo soft, but it gave him like kind of a softer edge, like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. To him, like he's more like, understanding and stuff like that. Then we get, this Chase U thing moving ahead with Thea. And then we get also Baron Corbin being a dick, basically. So what do you think about this?
Baron Corbin doing what he does best, being an absolute prick to everyone he's around. But yeah, like you said, it's nice to see Carmelo in his face didn't get rid of his ruthlessness, but he's also a little bit more sympathetic towards these kind of guys. He tries to sympathize with Wes, but Wes kind of don't want to hear it. So kind of move a different direction for Wes. Seems like he's kind of aimless without the belt. Maybe he'll start to kind of ascend into that NXT title picture going forward. We'll see as it goes. But the Chase U thing, Thea looks all depressed, so obviously she's sad that she didn't win the title, and she seems kind of mad at Mr. Chase for throwing in the towel, but I think her anger will only grow as we go forward. But yeah, like I said, Corbin just comes in and is Baron Corbin. He does what he does best and acts like an absolute asshole. So there's that.
Yeah, going to the dark side. Who knows with Thea?
Yep.
So we get Eddie Thorpe versus Dijak. It ends with Thorpe dropping an elbow on Dijak. Dijak then gives Thorpe a spinning kick and pins him for the win. We go backstage. Tony D's on the phone. He told the person that if he does this for him, they're even. Got the phone, told Stack that he's on his way. Backstage, Dana Brooke tells Kalani Jordan that as soon as she got the kendo stick in her hand, she saw red and liked it. She told Jordan that she needs to find her aggression and call somebody out. So what do you think about this A. Thorpe Dijak match? And then we continue on with the Tony D and then the Dana Brooke Kalani Jordan, which seems like a little bit of an odd pairing to me, but who am I to understand things, right? What are your thoughts on these?
Eddie Dijak was pretty good. I think Dijak looked really good in the win. Thorpe had an arm injury throughout the whole match. I think he sold that pretty well. But I think Dijak, I think this is a good feud for him, and I think it's good for Eddie too. I think it's a good way to kind of present both of them. Dijak definitely needs to be a guy that's more featured. He probably should be in the NXT title picture, competing with those kind of guys as well. But it's a good way to kind of move up Eddie as well and kind of put him more in people's minds and push him up the card a little bit. And then Dana and Kalani, they put them together because they're both gymnasts. I think that's kind of the basis of their relationship. But she wants to see Kalani's killer instinct because Dana obviously found hers the previous week. So little tough love from Dana to Kalani as we'll go forward with that relationship. But yeah, not bad. But I'm not super excited for that one, I guess.
Oh, yeah. We move on to a women's tag match. We got Yulisa Leon and Valentina Feroz versus Elektra Lopez and Lola Vice. Leon suplexed Vice twice and went for the pin, but Lopez broke it up. Feroz came in, but Lopez threw her out of the ring. Lopez turned around, and Leon hit her with a clothesline. Leon turns around, and Vice hit her with a spinning kick and pinned her. We got Elektra Lopez and Lola Vice going over for the win. We get Tiffany Stratton appearing on TikTok saying that Thea Hail pushed her to a limit at Great American Bash, but she still emerged victorious and will return the following week. And then we get Carmelo Hayes and Wes Lee versus Noam Dar and Oro Mensah. Lee went for the cardiac kick on Dar, but Dar moves out of the way and hit the kick with Hayes. Mensah then super kicked Lee. Dar hit Lee with a step-up kick and pinned him. Surprise win, Noam Dar and Oro Mensah. After the match, Hayes and Lee argued, but then Hayes said, "We're cool." Lee remained angry, and Hayes left the ring. So I thought the ladies' match was fine. I think Leon and Faraz are an okay team, but I think Elektra Lopez and Lola Vice are getting more of the push, the steam, if you will. You're getting more time. Tiffany, was selling Thea's how much Thea kind of like beat her up, and then like the surprising win here for Noam Dar and Oro Mensah, but it moves kind of the Carmelo Wesley storyline forward. So what are your thoughts on these items?
Yeah, definitely. Elektra Lopez and Lola. I think they see a lot in Lola. I think we'll see that more as we go forward as well. I think they see a good bit in her. So just a kind of way to put them over a little bit. Match wasn't anything great. It was another short, quick match. But I got them over for sure. I kind of like that Tiffany, she's a heel, and she constantly insults the crowd and insults everybody around her, but she kind of gave Thea her props. I kind of like that she did that. Kind of weird to see, or kind of nice, but weird to see heel kind of do that, but I like that aspect for sure. And then, I think the metaphor win here was more to kind of just push Wesley into further rage as he's continuing to lose these matches. You don't like seeing Carmelo lose matches, but at least he didn't take the pin this time. But obviously, it's to put over the fact that Metaphor is a group and they have a lot of togetherness, and Lee and Carmelo were just kind of partners of the situation. So that was a good part of that they had let the actual team win. But a very good match, I think. Like we've constantly said on this pod, Wesley and Carmelo, anytime they're in the ring, probably aren't going to have a bad match. So I think it was a solid tag and got everybody over as it should have.
All right. So in a pre-tape interview, Braun Breaker said, "Von Wagner is a nobody. If you don't like what I have to say, come and find me. If you think a picture with a scar on your head is bad, wait till I get a hold of you." Then we get to the infamous parking lot where Dom and Rhea are out there. Axiom came up to them and called Dominic a parasite, leeching off his father's blood, sweat, and tears. Dominic thought it was Dragon Lee. Mustafa Ali ran into the scene and told Dominic that I need to talk to you. Axiom got mad at Ali for interrupting him. When Ali turned around, Dominic and Rhea walked off. Axiom told Ali, "I don't appreciate you disrespecting me." Ali said he's been disrespected for 6 years and that North American title is going to be his. And we get Andre Chase versus Baron Corbin. Thea Hail's at ringside, who looked disinterested throughout the match. Corbin got Chase in a single leg crab, and then Hail threw in the towel. Corbin threw it back, and Hail walked away. Corbin caught Chase the end of days and got the pin. So we move forward with this whole Braun and Vaughn thing going on here. We get some more great character work with Dom and Rhea in the parking lot here, and we basically get Baron Corbin squashing Andre Chase for the most part, and moving Thea's disillusionment with Chase U forward. So any thoughts on this stuff?
I like that Braun said Vaughn was a nobody like his father, kind of calling back to the Steiner brothers, Beverly brothers feud of the early 90s. So I thought that was pretty good. I'm thinking at the beginning of this pod, when we first started this, him insulting Axiom and thinking he was Dragon Lee would have made me so happy. I've kind of come around on Axiom, obviously, but I thought that was a pretty funny spot at the same time.
Yeah, it was.
And Mustafa Ali is obviously very desperate to get this North American Championship, so his pursuits are not going to end with the Great American Bash. And then, obviously, Andre Chase versus Baron Corbin was more to kind of, like you said, to push over Thea's kind of disillusionment with Chase U, and Andre Chase is kind of a leader because she sees it as he screwed her out of winning her championship opportunity. So, but Baron pretty much squashed him, like you said. But I thought it was a pretty good match at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, his father was in the Brothers Beverly, as the Genius used to say.
The Brothers Beverly.
Beverly. Yeah. They were the North American Wrecking Crew in the AWA before they came over, I think.
I think no, they weren't
the Minnesota Wrecking Crew, that's it.
Yeah.
I thought they were a decent team. First they were with the coach, and then which I was like, I didn't know. I didn't even, as a kid, I didn't even get that. But then they were one of those teams that was like, yeah, they were good, but they never really, they were like your poor man's Rougeaus, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, they were solid. They were the Minnesota Wrecking Crew too, because I think that was Arn and Ole's name too before they were in the Horsemen. So that they were the second version.
Okay. All right, so we go backstage. Tyler Bate challenges Noam Dar to a match next week. In the ring, we get the dyad with a bunch of masked men. They said 2 members put their hands on them. They had to take their masks off one by one. And when they went down to 2, they thought they were the Creed brothers and attacked them. They pulled off the mask to reveal it wasn't them. The Creeds then appeared on the video wall with a beach background. They said they were not under the mask as they lost the Loser Leaves Town match, and now they are having the time of their lives. They showed fake backgrounds of the places they have been. They said they are not in Orlando and thanked them for the vacation. Joe Gacy called on the followers of the Schism to find the Creed brothers and bring them to him. So then we get a clip shown backstage last week. Cora Jade said she left Dana Brooke last week and she's sick of this place and is leaving. That's the thing I had mentioned.
There you go. Yeah.
I had mentioned earlier. So before we get to the main event, so with the Creeds, I had a feeling they weren't going to be gone because they did show them backstage at the Raw that was in Orlando. I think it was a Raw. I mean, the only thing I could have saw for them was for them to join the Alpha Academy.
Yeah.
Right. That was the only time I think I could see them on the main roster. So, but they will be back. I thought this was a fun segment, which a little like chicanery, I guess, on the Creed's part, and then we get the Cora Jade thing where she's sick of this place, aka I need to take time off for maybe some enhancements, if you will, or some healing. But yeah, what do you think of the whole? We get Tyler Bates setting up for next week with Noam Dar, and then we get the whole thing with the Schism.
Yeah, I thought the Creed thing was pretty entertaining. It kind of let them show their comedy chops. I'm probably never gonna not like something that they do. They're one of my favorites since we've been doing the pod, and really since NXT kind of switched to 2.0, and they've been around. So real big fan of them. I do think it's kind of like, oh yeah, thanks for not making us wrestle for like 3 or 4 weeks or a month or so. Really appreciate that. I don't know if that gives NXT the best look, but anyways, yeah, it's just driving the dyad and Schism as a whole just into further craziness because they want their hands on the Creeds even though they got rid of them. But yeah, Cora, I hope after this next injury enhancements vacation she hangs around and actually lives up to her potential, because she's been a bigger disappointment than she has been anything exciting.
Yeah, and then we move on to our main event, which is Gallus, Joe Coffey, Mark Coffey, and Wolfgang versus Tony D'Angelo, Stacks, Channing, Lorenzo, and their mystery partner Santos Escobar returning to NXT. All 6 are brawling in the ring. Escobar gives Coffey a Frankensteiner off the top rope. Tony and Saxon give Mark Coffey the bada bing, bada bam, and Tony pins him. So we get the family and Santos going over winning the match. It was nice to see them in the callback to the whole, the Legado del Fantasma and family feud there. And we get, and in the show, we get a pre-taped interview with Ilya Dragunov saying Trick is the sole reason why he is not NXT champion. If Trick isn't done with him, good, because he's not done with him either. Next week, Retribution begins, and he will not stop until he is entirely terminated. So it's good that we continue. We see Dragunov kind of staying, in the I guess the main picture here. Trick, who has been improving. I was pretty down on him in the beginning, but he has been getting a lot better. And this was a decent 6-man. What are your thoughts on the main event and the ending of the show?
Yeah, I thought the 6-man was really really good. the callback to Santos being the 6-man partner was really good. I'm still hankering for there to be a third member of the family, just whoever it might be, just another guy. Well, I mean, it doesn't really matter at this point because Stax doesn't need a tag team partner because Tony's his tag team partner, so it doesn't really matter at this point, I guess, as far as that. But I've always kind of wanted there to be another guy since Two Dimes went out. So, but Santos was a good callback, like I said. Good match. I thought it was really well done, and the angle after the match with Ilya, obviously he blames Trick, and he seems to think that that's the only reason Carmelo keeps winning these matches because Trick has always been in the corner, and obviously Trick had called him out earlier in the night, so we're heading for a crash course with those two. So that's a big spot for Trick, and we'll see how it goes.
All right, now we move on to the show on August 8th. We got Mustafa Ali versus Axiom to start the match. They have the light gets underhanded. He pulled off the mask of the superhero and dumped him onto the floor, followed by a 450 splash back into the ring. During the match, we get Scrypts appearing to distract Axiom after he sent Ali into the announce table with a head scissors taken down off the apron. We get Nima and Price coming out to back up Scrypts, almost costing Ali the win. Ali caught Axiom with a jackhammer. The superhero responded with a Canadian destroyer and moonsault to the floor. After his win, Ali declared he was next in line for the title shot, and the crowd was fully behind him. So, NXT has a reputation for having a hot start with a great match to start the show, and this was none. This was the same up there. I really did enjoy this match. I don't hate Scrypts being involved with these guys. I kind of think he could be that swarmy character. It's kind of funny how he's like, he goes from being like a sommelier to this like whatever this calligraphy dude, and now he's becoming more street. So we're going through quite the changes here with Reginald Scrypts, whatever you want to call him. But what do you think of this opening match here?
Yeah, he's gone on quite the journey. So he was French at first, then he was a calligrapher. Now he's seems to be real street savvy. So quite the journey for Scrypts, Reggie Reginald. So, but yeah, really good match. Kind of like you said, they always seem to start out with a really hot match. The shove to the ground with the like really weird camera work, and that he just shoved him straight to the floor. Obviously would have hurt really bad. I'm assuming they probably had a crash mat of some sort that he landed on in that spot, but it was really just produced, it seemed. So I thought it was really funny how they pulled that off. But yeah, really exciting match, really good stuff. Obviously Ali's seeming to be a little more heelish because I think he tried to go for Axiom's mask at one point. So, but yeah, really solid opener.
All right, and we got Blair Davenport versus Kalani Jordan with Dana Brooke. Kalani does her best to keep up with the ruthless aggression of Blair. However, she got caught in the ropes at the wrong time, falling to a double foot stomp, followed by a short arm knee strike. For the loss there, Brooke was a vocal coach at ringside, urging Jordan to push her to advantage. Afterwards, Brooke went after Davenport with a belt and nearly attacked Jordan as well, teasing a possible heel turn. And then we go into a Heritage Cup match, Noam Dar defending against Tyler Bate. After a competitive first round, Tyler Bate made a statement by hitting the Tyler Driver 98 quickly into the second round for the first fall. After a long stretch in a knee bar, the big strong boy needed to tap out in the fourth round. In the fifth round, Bate went for a Tyler Driver, but Dar reversed it into a pinfall attempt. The big strong boy reversed it into his own pin for a surprise 3 count. While Bate started strong and began wearing out, Dar got stronger and more confident. However, he got too cocky in the last stretch and lost his baby once again. Later, Bate ended up giving Dar back the Heritage Cup once Nathan Frazier agreed to face the Sky Supernova at Heatwave. Frazier also agreed that he owed Bate. The Davenport Kalani match was fine. It was more to get Blair a win, and Kalani, can take the loss, being so new, and also forwards with Dana's, coming heel turn that is being telegraphed from a mile away. And, we get this Heritage Cup match. I still have not come around on the Heritage Cup style here. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a stupid American. I don't know. But I thought it was fine. Both guys in there are talented. I thought, it was decent, but, I don't know. I kind of Tyler Bates another I'm trying to figure out what's his direction. Where is he going? Okay, but I thought it was a fine match. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, just going back to Blair and Kalani, obviously that was to push, Dana's more aggressive nature after her Singapore cane match with Cora Jade that she seemed to kick into at that point. And then the fake Heritage Cup, not even the real Heritage Cup that Noam was given last week. He already loses that to somebody else, so he's not having too much luck lately with that. So, but yeah, I get not liking the style. I do, like I've said in the past, think it works a lot better in the small environment that is the NXT arena than it does in the PLE arenas where, I just don't think I don't really know how to describe it. It just doesn't work in those big arenas with the big crowds because I feel like the NXT arena gets hyped for pretty much everything and it's contained and the sound doesn't like dissipate. So it works better in this smaller environment. But I do understand not liking it. But I thought it was pretty solid. This is more what you would get in the NXT UK Heritage Cup matches back in the day. So solid match, but not the best for sure.
No. All right, then we get Trick Williams challenging Ilya Dragunov to a match at Heatwave. Ilya demanded Trick meet him in the ring during a quick interview. The two met and agreed to a match at Heatwave. Then we get Braun Breaker versus Von Wagner with Mr. Stone. Wagner did his best to match up with Braun, but eventually fell to a spear. Afterwards, the former NXT champion tried to attack Mr. Stone. Wagner staved his manager and powerbombed Braun through the announce table. In an interview, Wagner had promised to put Braun through a table in the match. The former NXT champion was not impressed on his way to the ring. The crowd was more interested in getting tables involved than the actual action, though that was because Wagner kept teasing sending Breaker through it. And then also we had a backstage thing with Eddie Thorpe talking about refocusing himself in the nature before a rematch with Dijak. So we're getting set up with Trick and Dragunov moving now forward. And in this Braun Von feud is moving forward. Not kind of sure where the upside is here for Braun, at least. I think Braun is just, really there working on his heel craft, and I think that's really what it is. It's for him to get work down there as a heel because they could turn him into a face as soon as he comes back to the main roster. So, but I think they're having fun with him right now. I think he's having a good time, and again, still don't understand what the hell's going on with Von Wagner. Don't get where they're going with this guy. I think they should just put him with Corbin. Maybe that's where they'll go to, especially make them like a modern day Skyscrapers. We could always use tag teams. Why not, right?
Yeah. I don't know if we need another big brute tag team though, but
I don't know if I'd call them. I don't know. I think like a tag team like that, I wouldn't call them big brutes. I just think they're just tall.
I got you.
Like the Skyscrapers were like, when you it's like kind of saying like the original Skyscrapers or not Twin Towers, that was different. Were like kind of like I think of like Brawlers like or Haas is like the LOD. Demolition. Those are like Haas teams. I would think of these guys as just like, this big, tall, it's, I don't know, it's just maybe a difference in body shape to me. I don't know.
I know what you mean. But yeah, the promo with Ilya and Trick was good. Obviously, like I said, put Trick in a big situation. I think he has some, a real high level of potential going forward. I think he's really improved since we started this thing. And then the match, it's kind of confusing. This is a match that probably could have benefited for me in like a double count out. It probably would have helped Vaughn, but Vaughn takes a loss, so it's kind of confusing. Obviously, he gets the table bump after the match, but I'm interested to see where this ends up because I am kind of confused as well.
So we get Briggs and Jensen versus Drew Gulak and Charlie Dempsey. Gulak and Dempsey have a tough time matching the power and speed of Josh Briggs and Brooks Jensen. Damon Kemp ends up saving them by suplexing Jensen on the outside, setting off for a bridging dragon suplex to take the win. We also, backstage, we had gotten Schism promising to get the Creed brothers, even if they needed to turn NXT upside down. Later, they attack Hank and Tank. They threaten the family as well, but back down before attacking them. We get Gulak making fun of Hank and Tank until Jensen and Briggs challenge them. This is what sets up this match. And we also get Miles Bourne lowering the ropes for his teachers and stood in their corner. Gulak then sent him to the back after he said he did not have water. And then we move on to Ivy Nile versus Kiana James. Ivy fought through a one-sided start to the match with Kiana, but Schism's arrival distracted her. Nile looked like locked in the Dragon Sleeper, but Ava grabbed her leg. This allowed James to hit a new finisher, the deal breaker, to win. Afterwards, Schism grabbed Ivy Nile and demanded that she tell them where the Creed brothers are. Tony D and Stax make the save. Schism appeared with a group of masked men surrounding the ring. They then began pounding the apron in whatever. I'm having
unison.
Unison. There you go. Thank you. I'm like Unisom, Unitard. What? I don't know what that.
Unison and Schism right next to each other.
Yes.
the
schismism. So we get this okay, Matt. I mean, I'm sorry. When I see Drew and Charlie Dempsey, I like yawn. I look at my phone. I'm sorry. They don't do anything for me. I think, Charlie's got potential. Drew is fine, but I just don't understand. Like, I just don't get it. I mean, like I said, Charlie's got that look like he just shot whiskey the entire time. And I do like Briggs and Jensen. I do like having them back together. This Ivy Ava whatever feud is gone on for so. We talk about like landing the plane already, guys. This is going on as if not longer than the whole Briggs and Jensen and Kiana thing. Like, it was just ridiculous. But Ivy is also somebody who has been improving steadily. I think she's starting to show some personality. Her in-ring has been solid, and Kiana is another one that's up and coming. So, it's like, you got to have patience with some of these people. If you see that there's something there, they're gonna get better. It's just the way it happens. I mean, you look at some of the stars of today, and if you think back to who thought Alexa Bliss was going to turn into what she did when she first started showing up as that pixie? Come on, nobody did. So, and she didn't win she had some great stuff in NXT, but she didn't really accomplish, championships or matches. And yet she's probably has won more titles in the last 10 years than maybe only a handful of other women.
Yeah.
So that's what I love about watching this brand and covering it to talk about it, is seeing the development, because they make believers out of me, even when I like, oh, this person, but then you stick with them and they get better. And Ivy, Kiana, Trick, all have been getting better. Charlie probably will get better, but right now, that group just kind of bores me, I guess.
They added your boy Damon, so it's only
my boy Damon Kemp, who I think is terrible. So any thoughts on this tag match and the Ivy Kiana match?
I do love that they finally kind of put the shooter faction together that they were going to a few years ago, when it was supposed to be like Daniel Bryan and Drew Gulak and a couple other guys, but it ends up being Drew Gulak, Charlie Dempsey, Damon Kemp, and Miles Bourne. So maybe a little bit of
well, they were trying to do something with Timothy Thatcher before he got released.
That's true. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's good to see that they finally put the little shooter faction together. But I thought that match was pretty good. Briggs and Jensen are always good at bumping around, especially Jensen. And I think I'm a little bit higher on Charlie than you are. But Gulak's just, I think he's just kind of like brand toast. He's just kind of boring and isn't going to excite you, but he gets the job done at the same time, I guess. And like you said, Kiana and Ivy are two that have really improved a lot in the last year, and I do enjoy Kiana's new finisher. So, and I'm with you on the Schism and Creed brother thing. It needs to, or Creed, the Diamond Mine thing. It needs to wrap up.
All right. We move on to our main event for the show, which is Dominick Mysterio, our NXT North American champion, defending against Dragon Lee, who is being seconded by Rey Mysterio. Dragon Lee fought hard against Dominic and nearly took the win with a powerbomb. However, after Rhea blasted Dragon with her women's championship, Dirty Dom hit a Michinoku driver to retain the title. Afterward, Rhea gets into the face of Rey Mysterio until Lyra Valkyria sends the Eradicator packing. Earlier in the night, we had Ray backstage, though, congratulating Roxanne Perez and giving Thea Hail a pep talk. Lyra called out Ripley for manipulating her into doing what the Eradicator wanted. So, a solid end to the match. It was nice to see. Ray is one of those people. It's kind of like, some days I'm like, yay, it's Ray. Other days I'm like, why is it Ray? But Ray's been around for a long time. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think he's I don't know how much longer Ray has as an active competitor, but it's good to see they separated him and Dom, but it still lingers and they could still revisit it whenever they want. So I think that added to this match. And anytime you get somebody of his caliber showing up in the NXT arena, it does bring some excitement. But I thought this was a fine match. Dragon Lee is one of those, like, I would have thought he would have had more wins by now. Yeah. But yeah, obviously hasn't. But Dom, you can't argue with Dom right now. The kid is like over. He's probably one of the top heels, probably gets the most heat out of anybody in the company right now. So I'm enjoying it. And yeah, I thought this was fine, this match.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this one as well. And like you said, I would have expected with the name that Dragon Lee had coming in, he would have gotten a lot more wins to this point. But he seems to always be on the cusp, and then he fails in the last moment. But yeah, like you said, having Ray down there brings a big name. If somebody hears that Rey Mysterio is going to be on NXT tonight, it might make them tune in when they might not have originally, and they see a good match with a really good guy. That's the thing about Dragon Lee too, is he always has a pretty good match, even though he may not always win. So he's at least delivering in ring, even though he might not be picking up the wins. But yeah, you can't stop the Dom train at this point. It just wouldn't make any sense. So yeah, solid match to end up things.
All right. So we move on to the NXT show from August 15th, 2023. Starts off with the NXT Tag Team Championships on the line as a family defending against the Dyad. After a competitive match, Ivy arrives to distract the Schism at ringside. This allowed the Creed brothers in mass to sneak in, take out Rip Fowler and Jagger Reed to set up Tony D to steal the win with the Uranagi. The Creeds were always going to be the two men under the yellow mask who cost the Dyad yet another big opportunity. There were masked men at ringside to protect the Dyad whenever the heels head for the outside for a breather that were even more in the crowd. Reed had knocked Stacks off the apron onto the announce table, and the snap of the impact sounded bad. Luckily, he looked fine after the commercial break. Again, another match, another hot angle to start off, and the Creeds have returned. And the Dyad, I think they're just, as we would say, playing out the string until their contracts are up. Since they had asked for their release earlier, it was denied. So, yeah, it was good, though, to see them. These guys are professionals. They're still killing it. I mean, we're going to get to a match that's even better in an episode or two from here. Yeah. But what do you think of the start of this one?
Yeah, that's how you can tell that these guys are real professionals. Their effort level hadn't gone down at all. They didn't take that and be like, oh, well, I'm not going to try hard for you guys, because they kill it almost every time they're in the ring. And this was no different. The action was really good in this match, but it really was more of an angle to kind of get to the Creed brothers or the quote unquote Creed brothers in the mask interfering and taking out one of them while Tony D and Stacks took them out to retain the championships. So another good win for them. And a solid match, but definitely more angle than definitely meant more for the angle than it did Tony and Stacks championship reign.
All right, so then we get Dana Brooke with Caroline Jordan versus Blair Davenport. Dana gets a little too angry in this bout after Caroline Jordan stopped her from getting disqualified. She stumbled into a running knee strike from Blair Davenport, followed by a second one to seal the win. She's really trying to. Dana is really trying a little too hard to sell this turn to the dark side. It seems a little too forced. Even before her inevitable heel turn, they're giving her a platform to rebuild herself. The NXT universe is more favorable to Brooke than usual, but still louder for Davenport and dueling chants. We get Dana getting angry after a big sit-out powerbomb, could not win it. She then planted Davenport with a running lariat. She also went for the ring bell, but Caroline stopped her. When Brooke got back in the ring, she ducked Davenport and caught her with an awkward pin attempt. So then we get another match where we get Trick Williams versus Drew Gulak after Brooks Jensen Briggs took out Charlie Dempsey and Damon Kemp at ringside. Drew Gulak was no match for motivated Trick Williams. He sealed his win with Whoop That Trick. A fairly dominant victory despite potential distraction at ringside. It was just what Trick needed out of an important match with Ilya Dragunov. So what are any thoughts to share on these two matches?
I did not know the name of his move was Whoop That Trick. So that's
Neither did I. I really enjoyed getting to say that though.
That is pretty solid, I won't lie. But yeah, the Dana and Blair match was obviously again to put over more of Dana Brooks' aggressive side. I think it was all right. It wasn't anything special. Dana Brooks just not somebody she's kind of like Mike Gulak and Charlie Dempsey. She's just kind of, just dry, and I don't really super enjoy her. I don't really look forward to her turning heel or anything like that. So
you like Natty 2.0?
Yeah, and she's just obnoxious to me for some reason. I don't know. I've never enjoyed her, and I don't think I ever will.
She's trying to be Mandy 2.0, but we're getting Natty 2.0.
She's not at that talent level or ability to get over at all. So
no,
definitely a bad move there. I mean, she needs to be in NXT because she can perform there, and she can kind of fit in and stuff like that, and she's just going to get lost on the main roster. So I definitely understand her purpose being there. But Trick, I think he looked good in his win. A decent match. Didn't get a ton of time, but Whoop That Trick is a really solid finisher name. So I like that a lot.
All right. So we get Von Wagner talking Baron Corbin into a match at Heatwave. Baron Corbin made fun of Gable Steveson, the rest of the NXT locker room. Mr. Stone and Von Wagner came out to confront him on his comments. Wagner talked a big game, but could not put his rival through the announce table before officials intervene. While Corbin's new gimmick has not made much of an impact, he has done well here at NXT, elevating the talent around him. Wagner actually was probably cutting his best promo to date. Then we get, Braun Breaker warning Corbin in the parking lot to get out of his way. He was not done with Von yet. Rhea and Dominic challenged Lyra and Dragon Lee to a mixed tag match at Heatwave. Lyra and Lee tried to get on the same page as a tag team for the said show, and Mustafa Ali cut a pre-tape promo in the style of a politician, promising to elevate the North American Championship to new heights. So before we move on to the next match, any thoughts on the Von and Baron Corbin stuff, or the mixed tag between Rhea and Dom and Lyra and Dragon Lee?
Yeah, the mixed tag could be super fun, just considering the people in it. So I'm looking forward to that one. I was looking forward to that one. Baron and Von, not something that just super duper excites me, the idea of that match, but gives something both guys something to do, and they can elevate each other at the same time. So we'll see where that one goes. And Von did cut a pretty good promo there. It's probably the most comfortable he's felt. And then I kind of like the Mustafa politician kind of character that they're giving him, where he's at the podium giving a real riling speech about being the North American champion. So definitely interesting for sure.
Good stuff. So we get the number one contender for the NXT Championship, Wesley versus Dijak. Lee and Dijak brutalized each other throughout this fight. Both were limping and vulnerable. Eddie Thorpe, though, made the difference, distracting Hard Justice enough for Lee to hit the cardiac kick and a corkscrew senton to win. Whenever Lee and Dijak are in the ring, they always have a great match, and this was physical and intense, and they solved their battle wounds to set up big moments of vulnerability. Some further notes here were in a pre-tape promo, Eddie Thorpe promised Dijak that they would fight again. During a picture signing, Lee warned Mello to worry about him as the next challenger. Dijak gave him a similar warning later. Lee had targeted the left leg of Dijak, charging at his knee and twisting in the corner. That remained a target throughout the match. Lee managed to powerbomb Dijak, then plant him with a meteor for a near fall. The former North American champion went for the cardiac kick, but his leg gave out. Dijak went for feast for your eyes, and his own leg gave out on him. So, yeah, there was a lot of, as our friend would say, a lot of limb work going on here. And, it was solid. I mean, these guys, again, you would look at it on paper, at these two guys. You're like, these guys, but every time they're in there, they have a great match. So what are your thoughts on Wesley versus Dijak and Wesley going over?
Yeah, these guys just have a ton of chemistry. Obviously with what happened last week, I think Wes was the obvious choice here. And Dijak's not done with Eddie Thorpe. That match that they had, obviously in kind of nefarious means, I think Dijak kind of cheated at the end to win. So they weren't done with each other, so they were going to get another match out of those two. And Wes obviously was somewhat targeting Carmelo after last week, so I think Wes winning is a good choice. But yeah, these guys just have so much chemistry with each other. They know how to work that little man, big man kind of style match to perfection. So they're just really solid together.
All right. We move on to Tyler Bate versus Joe Coffey, your favorite, with Gallus. Tyler Bate was rolling against Joe Coffey, but Dabba-Kato arrived to steamroll the big strong boy. He threatened Gallus, and they backed off. This left Bate to take a choke bomb in the center of the ring. Despite the history between Bate and Joe, this match was not going anywhere before the interference. The crowd was quite timid, despite the best efforts of the big strong boy. It was on the verge of a squash. Dabba-Kato has tried to get on the right track since his return to NXT, but the brand has done a poor job booking him as a monster. So losses have taken away his aura as a dominant force. So yeah, Dabba-Kato kind of resurfaces at last time we saw him, he was, taking on, Scrypts and Axiom and losing to them. And then we also had a NXT anonymous taping a confrontation at a live event between Bate and Coffey. So, any thoughts on this Tyler Bate versus Joe Coffey match?
Yeah, the match was really nothing before the interference, and oh boy, Dabba-Kato's back! Woohoo! Just so exciting to have him back after he got beat by the two little guys last time he was on. He's one of those that, if they put a thing on Twitter tomorrow saying he got released, I would not be sad. You were kind of the write-up that you were reading from said something funny, but the one I have up says, "Welcome back, Dabba-Kato, to his 6 fans. I didn't really miss him, but I guess WWE has to try with him once again." So I thought that was pretty funny. But
yeah,
nothing exciting.
They don't like to give up on the big men, Omos, as Exhibit A, right? These guys, they're trying their hardest to get them over, but they just, I don't get it. But if you want this guy to be a monster, why is he losing the cruiserweights?
Yeah. He's imposing and he's huge, and I think he could be solid for him. But yeah, like you said, they just don't book him very well. Like, have him kill, not literally kill, but have him destroy people in the ring. And just, mow through the roster and, elevate and stuff like that. But who knows?
Yeah, I have no fucking clue. So we get Thea Hail versus Jacey Jayne. Thea Hail could not overcome her emotions throughout this match, while Andre Trace had gotten on the apron and stopped Jacey Jayne from using as a weapon. The Hail was distracted and setting up a roll-up victory for Jacey Jayne. As we, some notes that had happened earlier was Chase could not get on the same page as Hail, and Duke Hudson just sat there on the fence earlier backstage. Hail then nearly got the win off a springboard senton and locked in the Kimura lock, but Jayne got to the ropes quickly to escape. Commentary was pretty solid on this match, with making like Jayne was the underdog, which should not be true given their history. Then we also earlier had Metaphor interrupting hard-hitting truths with Nathan Frazier for Supernova Sessions. The Real Heritage Cup champion called Noam Dar a fraud repeatedly. NXT then showed a dramatic vignette about Los Lotharios, framed by the words of Humberto Garza, from whom both were given their names. And then we also have Tiffany Stratton promising to appear at Heatwave. So Thea's, I guess, a breakup, so to speak, or what's going on with her and Chase U continues on. Even with the loss to Jacey Jayne, who's kind of been a little aimless since the split of Toxic Attraction. I mean, she played the heel, she's played it well, and she's gotten some wins. I obviously didn't win the feud with Gigi, but they need a direction for her, and they're finally starting to do something else with her, which is good. I mean, the Metaphor is kind of like, all right, they're fun, they're ha ha ha, but it's like, I don't. It's not like Gulak and Dempsey where I change the channel, but I go on my phone. But it's kind of like, all right, the Metaphor, they're funny, they're comical, they're okay. You know, there's a big drop off after Noam to the rest of the faction.
That's true.
But you know, I do enjoy them. I think they're getting better. They're getting, you know, they're leaning into some ridiculousness, which is really what I think they should go in, because people are not going to take them that seriously. You know what I mean? Like they'll take them seriously, like, you know, as in the ring and stuff, but like in their vignettes and stuff like that, they can't be serious. They got to be ridiculous, you know, delusional, things like that. So, what are your thoughts on Thea versus Jacey and this metaphor stuff?
Yeah, metaphor is good when they're being obnoxious. So that's the lane that they need to be in. I thought Nathan did pretty good in this segment with the whole fraud thing over and over, hitting the button and all that. So I think he came across really well there. Jacey and Thea obviously pushed forward the Chase U dissension. Obviously, you know, they're Thea and Mr. Chase aren't on the same page pretty much the whole match. She kind of yells at him at the end, and that's what gets her rolled up. So continuing that, I thought the history lesson about Humberto and Angel was really good. So yeah, just a couple solid little segments, and then that match was fine, but obviously more angle focused than really the match in general.
All right. So then we get Wesley demanding Carmella Hayes show him respect in the contract signing. Wesley kept heckling Carmella Hayes until the A champion walked out. The two exchanged words before signing the contract for the NXT title at Heatwave. Lee stole the table from Mella's picture signing and dragged it into the ring, demanding that he sees him there. Lee called himself his own biggest doubter, but refused to fail. After the contract was signed, I thought this was pretty damn cool. Lee stomped straight through the table. I love that little spot. What do you think of the way they closed this show?
Yeah, the contract signing was a super awesome segment. Lee's promo was super awesome. I think he came across really well, really fired up. You really thought maybe he had a chance to beat Carmella the next week when they faced off. So I thought it came across really well. All
right, guys, we're getting there. Lots to cover. So we're at NXT on August 22nd, aka Heatwave. We open up with Ilya Dragunov versus Trick Williams. Trick fought hard through the toughest shots of Dragunov and stayed in the fight. However, the Mad Dragon was still too much, sealing his win with a diving low forearm smash. This was a major test for Trick, his most competitive and high-profile singles match against one of NXT's best. But it wasn't his time to win the match, but he more than held his own. Backstage, we had Tony D and Channing Stacks Lorenzo raising a toast to the big moments of Heatwave in their pool. We also got Wesley and Dragunov almost getting into a fight as Mad Dragon did not believe Lee could beat Mel. So, yeah, I thought this was a pretty solid match. Trick's best match, I think, to date. What are your thoughts?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, 100%. I thought this came across really well. Trick didn't seem like he was out of place at all, and Ilya delivered a banger like he usually does. So, yeah, I thought this was way better than I thought it had any chance to be. I was really excited after this one. I even suggested it to some people that I know probably don't watch it every week. I was like, you may not know either of these guys, or you may know one of them and not the other, but go out of your way to watch it because it was really solid.
All right, we move on to Ivy now versus Ava with Schism. Ava dominated this match with her power. However, all it took was one counter by Ivy now to pull out the Dragon Sleeper and force a submission. You know, this was, people have said that the booking of Schism has been not great, and this may have been one of the worst nights the stable had ever had. Despite outnumbering now 1-20, she beat Ava quickly and laid out all Schism grunts afterwards. Three sides of the ring were surrounded by masked Schism followers. After the match, Schism tried to attack Ivy, but got kicked around by the Diamond Mine Star until they backed off. The Creed brothers then revealed themselves with Nile backstage. They then kidnapped Ava, laid down a challenge to the Dyad next week inside a steel cage. So, yeah, Ava looked okay.
Yeah.
There were rumors of her release, which I found to be very suspicious, considering the source. that we had seen it from, but she's not going anywhere. She is where some of these other people were a year or 2 years ago, right? So if we're still doing this in a year or two, we could be talking about her in the main event having good matches. Like she could be, your next, Kiana or even Ivy. Maybe she's a year away from getting to where Ivy is. Maybe a couple years away from where some of these other girls are. But she's got potential. She's got to give it time. But yeah, this was a bad look for the Schism. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I didn't think Ava looked bad at all. I think she looked fine. Nothing more than fine, but she looked fine.
She's still wooden. I think wooden is a good way to say it. Like
yeah. She just doesn't seem super confident in much of what she's doing. But this was, I think, working to the advantage of this match. I think this was more about the Creeds doing the kidnapping afterwards. And it was, as much as Ava's kind of knew it was a big win for Ivy. It made her. She got a match on a big episode of NXT, and she got a victory. So that's good for her evolution as well. But yeah, not a great look for the Schism, as they kind of got bitched around by one person. So not great.
All right, so we went to a Heritage Cup match with Nathan Frazier with Tyler Bate as his second versus Noam Dar with Metaphor. After Dabba-Kato took out Tyler Bate in the second round, Nathan Frazier was left alone while Metaphor was fully in attendance. This went all the way to the sixth round. Noam Dar ducked a Phoenix Splash and then hit the Nova Roller for the deciding fall. So, a couple of notes here. Frazier had asked Bate to work as his second backstage before the match. During a commercial break in the second round, Dabba-Kato chokeslammed Bate onto the apron. This distraction allowed Dar to roll up Frazier for the first fall. Frazier nearly got a fall with a suicide dive, a springboard reverse DDT, and standing moonsault. Time expired, and Dar caught Frazier with a cheap shot after the bell. The Heritage Cup champion grabbed his first fall off a superplex into the final cut in the fourth round. Lash Legend grabbed the leg of Frazier to save the Sky Supernova from a pinfall after a diamond cannonball to the floor in the fifth round. In the sixth round, Dar reversed the springboard DDT into a knee bar. Later, Metaphor found out Dar's next challenger would be determined in an 8-man tournament called the NXT Global Invitational. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just like the round thing that kind of gets to me.
It's a stop and start. I definitely.
Yeah, I'm not a big boxing fan. I'm not that I dislike boxing, but I just don't really watch it unless there's like a ginormous fight going on, right? But, I do appreciate the talent involved in this. I thought this was fine for what it was. I mean, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, this is definitely one of the more exciting versions of this that we've seen so far since it's kind of been brought over. So this is definitely probably one of the better NXT Heritage Cup matches we've seen. But interesting to go back to Noam. I think Noam benefits a lot more from having it than – I think Nathan Frazier also benefited from having it as well. But I think that's like it's become such a part of Noam that like it's kind of weird to see him without it at the same time. So I think giving it back to him was probably the best move for Metaphor and for the cup itself. So I think Noam's the best at this type of match because I feel like in one of your notes earlier that you talked about, I feel like he kind of gets better as the rounds go on. Like he doesn't tire out. He kind of it kind of like makes him get stronger that it keeps going. So he may not always win, but he definitely finishes a little stronger than he may start in these matches. So but yeah, probably the best version we've seen of that match, but definitely good.
All right, so then we get Tiffany Stratton meeting her future challengers. Tiffany Stratton is in the ring talking about herself until Gigi Dolan, Kiana James, Blair Davenport, and Roxanne Perez all lay claim to an NXT Women's Championship shot. Then the Prodigy caught the center of the universe with a right hand before a brawl struck out. Stratton promised to be a better NXT Women's Champion than Bayley, Asuka, Becky Lynch, and Charlotte Flair, but the man was never NXT Women's Champion. Stratton later corrected that mistake by announcing a number one contender, a fatal four-way match for next week. Lynch then responded to Stratton on Twitter, setting up a potential huge appearance in the future by the man. Also backstage, we got Drew Gulak and Charlie Dempsey continuing to abuse Miles Bourne during their training sessions. So we get this, Tiffany. We're trying to figure out who her next challenger is after Thea, had her little shot, right? What do you thought of this with, and were these the women, that you think, was there anybody missing from this grouping with, Gigi, Kiana, Blair, and Roxanne? Was there anybody that shouldn't have been in that group?
I don't quite know if Gigi's getting enough wins to kind of be in this. I like her a lot, but I don't think she's winning enough. And even Kiana, maybe a little bit of a stretch, a little bit, but she's getting better for sure, and she seems to be racking up some wins. So,
well, part of it too, there's the injury bug in the women's division.
That's true, too. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, there's not a ton of people that I could see like legitimately being competition for Tiffany at this point. Like Roxanne, I think could probably, and you convinced me that Blair would be, but I don't think they'd do the heel thing to do a title change. So,
and Lyra's busy with what's going on with Rhea and stuff. So
yeah, and like you said, the injury bug. Nikita's out, Soul's out. So, and Cora obviously just went out as well. So
and Wendy Chu.
Yeah, and Wendy's out as well. But just it'll be nice to get some of these people back so it can kind of flesh out who's going to kind of emerge and be that next contender for her. But Roxanne's really the only one that kind of stuck out to me as a possible actual person that could probably beat Tiffany if it came to it.
All right. So we get Rhea Ripley and Dominick Mysterio versus Lyra Valkyria and Dragon Lee. While Lyra challenged Ripley throughout, it took a surprise appearance from Raquel Rodriguez to take the Eradicator out. This allowed Dragon Lee to pin Dominick Mysterio off a tilt-a-whirl reverse DDT. Every second of Ripley versus Valkyria in that match was a must-watch. They have great chemistry. There's also some fun sequences between Dirty Dom and Dragon. The transition to the men's wrestling was a little awkward, and it could have been a bit better. But the win sets up Dragon to challenge again for the North American Championship, while Mustafa Ali also waits in the wings. In a private locker room, Ali warned Dom that he was next up to challenge him for the North American Championship earlier. And also in the match, Lyra rocked Ripley with a series of kicks. And when the Eradicator tried to powerbomb her, she nearly got caught with a roll-up. So I thought this was a fun match. I wasn't expecting Raquel to show up, but I'm kind of digging this. I don't think it takes anything away. Look, people can say, because they do similar things, not similar things, but in AEW, it's like, maybe it's because we watch NXT every week and we watch Raw and SmackDown. We know who everybody is. When it's like, hey, this person is here in AEW from Ring of Honor, and everybody with 1,000 titles over there, I have no idea who half these friggin' people are. So that's where they lose me a lot of times, is when I have it on and I'm like, am I supposed to know this person? Is this like, what is happening here? But here it's like, when people show up from either direction, it kind of means something. It matters. Yeah, obviously it matters more when it's somebody from the main roster who shows up in NXT, especially an NXT alumni. But yeah, I thought that was great, and I love that. Rhea, sometimes is presented a little too strong.
Yeah,
and I do enjoy it when she kind of gets some comeuppance, which is what happened here. So yeah, I know, but I enjoyed this match.
Yeah, I mean, anytime somebody comes down from the main roster, it can only benefit NXT unless it's somebody just squashing people and just killing them and stuff like that. So unless it's something like that, it obviously isn't doing any good. But anytime you can get somebody that's recognizable from Raw or SmackDown down there, it's always it's usually a pretty good move. But the match was really good. Like you said, the women were really good. They seem to have pretty good chemistry with each other. I don't know if they knew each other before and wrestled before, but they came to WWE or something like that. But they seem to have pretty good chemistry with each other. And then Dragon Lee's always impressive. It's good to see him get a win. I don't think Dom gets hurt in this by losing. It's a tag match, so it's nothing huge. And he's he didn't have Rhea there at the end to save him. So it obviously didn't turn out too well for him, like it usually doesn't when she's not around. So yeah, solid match between the four.
All right, we move on to Baron Corbin versus Von Wagner. The match truly never gets going as a brawl breaks out beforehand. Baron Corbin threatens Mr. Stone, but Von Wagner saves him. Before he could send Corbin through the announce table, Braun speared him. Corbin and Breakker look like common allies at the end of it. And we have backstage, we have Jacey Jayne bonding with Thea Hail over their shared frustration with people letting them down, and Dijak warning Eddie Thorpe that the next meeting would break Thorpe's spirit. So before we move on to the main event of the night, any thoughts on this continued Baron Corbin, Von Wagner, Braun Breaker, what are we doing, folks thing?
I mean, it didn't excite me any more than it did the previous week, I guess. But the spear was sick. I thought that was really awesome. Cool spot. So there is that. And then, JC and Thea seem to be kind of teaming up at this point. So interesting to see where that partnership might go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Braun spears are reminding me of early Goldberg spears.
Yeah, he just wrecks whoever he goes through.
Yeah, and because I think the spear has become overused. I think I don't love Jenny will be pissed at me. I don't love that Charlotte uses the spear. Edge's spear I thought was good, but I never his was. And Edge is one of my favorite guys of all time. I never really loved it either. Roman's is still great, but Braun, I think he has the best spear going today. Yeah. I honestly, personally think. So the main event of this night is NXT Championship. Carmelo Hayes defending against Wes Lee. We get Wes Lee fighting hard, but he gets too aggressive. In the end, he misses a suicide dive, collides with the barricade. But just when he makes it back into the ring, Carmelo meets him and hits him with nothing but net to retain. They barely, this had a lot of potential, but it was kind of quickened, I think, for TV. And they barely got going before the finishing sequence goes in. They should have had more than 10 minutes. And in terms of this might have been probably one of the weaker bouts we may have seen from these guys. But it kind of was a clunky finish, but Lee sold the experience of Mello overcoming the pure emotion of Lee and the challenger. We need to go back to the drawing board to find a way to outsmart the A champion as well as outperform him. And then, earlier in the night, Trick had found Mello in the locker room, wished him luck, and there was some tension over the A champion blaming Trick for getting involved in his last title defense. So, yeah, I mean, look, like we said, neither guy can put on a bad match, but I think they weren't given the right time. Like they were kind of put in an unfavorable situation, and this should have been given more time, even if it was a TV match.
Yeah, and that's the issue with. I mean, it was a TV match in the end, so it wasn't going to give the time that it deserved. But yeah, it was only like 12 minutes, and there was a commercial in the middle of. I mean, it does the picture-in-picture stuff, but I don't even pay attention when it's in picture-in-picture because I don't want to have to look at the little screen and pay attention to that kind of stuff. So I hate that. I get it and I appreciate it in a way, but I don't. I usually skip past it anyway because nothing happens. But yeah, if for it to only be 12 minutes and to have a commercial break in the middle, I think it was the best match that they could put on. Definitely not the best match, not the best version of the match they could have, but with the time constraints and it being TV and all, I think they did really, really well. But I would like to see this one definitely get a PLE kind of stage and let them blow it out of the park even more.
All right. So moving on to the NXT show from August 29th. And we start off with a steel cage match, the Creed versus the Dyad. Schism followers grabbed Brutus Creed and carried him away, leaving Julius Creed alone against Jagger, Reed, and Rick Fowler inside the cage. Brutus finally gets back into the match, ripping off the door, basically, to get inside, which was a sick. And Julius was holding his own. He's a beast as well. These guys are going to be huge once they finally get up to the main roster. Brutus finally gets back in the match in time to hit a Brutus bomb and side-by-side low clothesline with his brother to get the win. this was the use of the cage was really good because he got to use the door as a weapon, which I don't think I've ever seen before. It was wild. It was a wild match that built to a furious climax. They had the fans on their feet. During the match with Fowler and ankle lock, Julius used just one arm to powerbomb Reed in one of the most impressive moves.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, the ripping open the door cage by Brutus was pretty awesome. And then Ava had walked out after the loss, and Ivy came in to celebrate after the win. So I thought this was a tremendous match. Lots of great storytelling in there. Creeds look like an absolute beast in there. And again, the dyad, still was in there performing, up to the level we've come to know them at. So what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, just an awesome match. The one-arm powerbomb is one of the sickest, most ridiculous spots I've ever seen. Just absolute brute strength by Julius there. He's awesome. I look forward to them being a tag team for many years, but maybe way down the line he can be a single star, and I think he'll absolutely kill it and be awesome and great. I'd have a ton of success. So he's just a beast. But Brutus coming back in the end of the match and ripping the door off and doing his stuff, he's really impressive as well. So, but this ends up being it for the Dyad. This is their last match, right? They don't appear after this. And is that correct, or do they do it?
I think so. I think this might be I'm not sure if they appear in a backstage or anything, but yeah, this is their last match as far as I know.
Yeah, so I mean, it wasn't a stipulation or anything like that, but it ends up being their last match. So they go out with a really good match with a team that they have a ton of chemistry with. So we appreciate you Dyad for not giving up, despite maybe not having anything go your way, because you killed it for like the last 4 or 5 months that you could have mailed it in, and so. Very, very well done, and best of luck to you in the future.
Yes, in your endeavors. All right, so we move on to the opening match of the Global Heritage Invitational with Butch versus Charlie Dempsey, accompanied by Drew Gulak and Damon Kemp. Before the match, NXT showed a video package highlighting the rules of the Invitational as a round-robin format akin to the G1 Climax in New Japan Pro Wrestling, but shorter. The participants were confirmed as Group A: Charlie Dempsey, Butch, Tyler Bate, and Axiom. Group B: Nathan Frazier, Joe Coffey, Duke Hudson, and Akira Tozawa. So a couple of visitors from the main roster. I love seeing Butch back here. He's not, he's getting over. He's over on the main roster, but he's not in as many singles matches as I would like to see up there. And Tozawa has been appearing on TV a little bit. And he's a guy, you throw him in there, he'll put on a solid match with these guys. So I'm kind of I'm okay with these people in this grouping. So then we get into the match. We get Dempsey, who could not keep up with the technical offense of Butch, who put him away with the bitter end. Some notes from earlier from the match and from backstage. The Metaphor watched the match from what was once the Toxic Lounge. Bush landed on his feet off a superplex attempt and then snapped the fingers of Dempsey. Later on, Fallon Henley convinced Miles Bourne to team up with Josh Briggs and Brooks Jensen against Gulak, Dempsey, and Damon Kemp next week. Tyler Bate promised to win the Global Invitational, but first challenged Dabba-Kato next week to fight him. So, what are your thoughts on this Global Heritage Invitational and this opening bout?
Yeah, it definitely gives an interesting way to determine a new number one contender for Noam. I always love a tournament, even though apparently, according to the wrestling business, they don't ever draw anywhere. So, but I always have loved a tournament. I always loved the King of the Ring. Any championship that ends up being in a tournament, I always like. So, the round robin style kind of gives it a different flair than a lot of the other tournaments that they have. But yeah, definitely like seeing Butch down there be involved. And, even Tozawa, like you said, he can bump around for the guys and he can have a good in-ring match at least. But even though, he's mostly just a comedy guy on the main roster. So definitely interesting. And I think it could be enjoyable going forward.
Yeah. All right. So we get Ilya Dragunov facing a new challenge in Oro Mensah. Dragunov tried to lay out the challenge to Carmelo Hayes, but Noam Dar in the middle four interrupted them to talk off the Sky Supernova. Oro Mensah agrees to a match with the Mad Dragon next week before the two brawled. Dragunov showed respect to Trick Williams for stepping up, even if he lost. And we get the Street Profits making a surprise appearance to congratulate Mello, who walked away to focus on the Mad Dragon. They also challenged the family. Dana Brooke, Kelani Jordan, Elektra Lopez, and Lola Vice brawled behind them, which was pretty funny, I thought.
That
was like they're just like standing there, like, "Oh damn, what's happening back there?" kind of thing.
And Montez is just like, "Oh, I'm gonna get out the way."
Yeah, I'm out. So then, Mello asked Trick if he thought he could beat Dragunov. His friend confirmed that he knew that he could beat the Mad Dragon. Dragon Lee wanted the next shot at the North American Championship, but Mustafa Ali interrupted Lee's own claim to the title. Von Wagner laid out a challenge to Braun Breaker for a no disqualification match next week. Later, Breaker warned Baron Corbin to stay out of his business. So a lot's going on here. Everybody's challenging everybody. Right?
Yeah, a lot of crazy challenges here, a lot of matches set up, a lot of brawls backstage, even though people are talking. So a couple of solid segments back to back, and just a bunch of stuff set up.
Yeah,
for,
kind of
next
like
episode.
Kind of like a reset a little bit, or with after. All right, we had Heat Wave, we had some big matches. Now we're going to move forward and start building towards No Mercy is an XPLE, right?
Mercy.
Yeah,
that's correct. Yeah.
So which we will talk about on our next episode. When we get there in like 3 years. So
it'll come out in January. I'm just kidding.
Yes. God, I hope not. Oh boy, this is a lot, guys. But no, this is great. This is good stuff because we're trying. We really care about this, and we really want to make sure we don't skip over anything. So we want to make sure we're covering everything to keep it going here. All right. So Dana Brooke and Kelani Jordan versus Elektra Lopez and Lola Vice. Elektra and Lola look like a lethal combination. Dana Brooke and Kelani could not match their team chemistry. We get Lola and Elektra hitting a combination roundhouse kick and spine buster on Jordan for the win. The crowd was fully behind Vice while booing Brooke once she got involved. After the loss, Brooke screams in frustration about another failure. Then we move on to Dijak versus Eddie Thorpe. Dijak tried every shortcut to head Eddie Thorpe, and it paid off as he used the steel chair to distract the referee. This allowed him to knock out his rival with a belt-loaded fist and hit the discus big boot to win. So twice now, Dijak has picked up the victory over Eddie Thorpe, but this time it was a little bit messy. Given the dirty finish, Eddie will probably get one more shot at him, and it should have a stipulation. So maybe we'll get a bull rope match or something similar. So, yeah, I'm starting to dig this tag team of Lola Vice and Elektra Lopez. Like you said, Lola is going to be the star out of the two. And Dana is, she's getting a reaction. Let's just say that way. The crowd is either, wants to hate her or they just want her off the screen. Either way, they're booing her. So, what are your thoughts on that? And then the Dijak Eddie Thorpe match.
Yeah, this is Eddie Thorpe. I'm just kidding.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
You're Northern.
Eddie Thorpe.
Yeah, got a little Boston there. Anyways, no, this is where I kind of think Lola kind of emerged. I think she looked really good in this match. Didn't get a ton of time, but that was definitely the point of the match, was to kind of get that team over, despite the other side kind of being the more story-based side of things. And then Dijak and Eddie didn't get as much time this time. I think it was still a solid match, but obviously Dijak continues to somewhat cheat or use nefarious means to get the victory. So, like you said, it's obviously leading to something where hopefully Eddie will eventually get a victory and kind of emerge from that.
All right. Yes, wicked hard. Dijak is hitting the Eddie Thorpe.
Eddie Thorpe. There you go.
There you go. Wicked piss out of a match. All right. Anyway, moving on to the Global Heritage Invitational. Nathan Frazier versus Joe Coffey this time. In a somewhat shocking result, Joe Coffey ducked the Phoenix Splash and hit all the best of the bells to defeat Nathan Frazier clean. The former Heritage Cup winner made the Gallus Boy look like a beast, and Wolfgang and Mark Coffey actually never had to get involved. During the match, Joe crashes to the outside, allowing Frazier to hit a tope and a springboard frog splash for a near fall. Joseph said that Duke Hudson versus Akira Tozawa from Group B would happen on NXT Level Up. Then we get a tribute video to Bray Wyatt, who just passed away at this time. Really sad, really unexpected. It was nice to see because Bray, I haven't been in my NXT rewatch for a bit, but I am still in the probably in the first few months of the Wyatt family as appearance, and Bray was killing it from the beginning. I love the original, like kind of that guy from the swamp and the cult leader thing, and he was killing it from the get-go. Yeah. So what a guy. He will be missed. A couple more little backstage notes before I get your thoughts. We get Humberto going to Angel's home, and they agreed that the former's grandfather had sent them a message, stay together. They will return next week. Dominick Mysterio announced he would be a special guest referee for Dragon Lee versus Mustafa Ali, where the winner would fight him at No Mercy. Thea Hail skipped the latest Chase U class and then went out with Jacey Jayne. So, yeah, lots of. So first we had the Global Heritage Invitation, the Nathan Frazier versus Joe Coffey match, and then some of the backstage stuff. So, any thoughts to share on those?
Yeah, a lot of storyline progression. I like the continued thing with Angel and Humberto, and then obviously Dom's going to be the guest referee, so he can kind of decide who his challenger is going to be at the PLE. But I thought the Global Heritage match was really good. This is one of the best Joe Coffey matches I've seen, honestly. I thought he looked really good in this. Is this the match where Nathan Frazier almost gets his head taken off when he goes into the ropes and his head ricochets back?
Yeah, I think so. I remember watching it ooh.
Yeah, because he's so fast that he went a little too fast. At one point, his head went outside the rope and whiplashed real bad. So, scary moment there for sure. But really good match. And like I said, I think it's one of my favorite Joe Coffey matches I've seen. So, of somebody that I don't just super prefer. So I thought it was very good.
All right. So then we got our main event for this episode with number one contender match, a fatal four-way: Roxanne Perez versus Blair Davenport versus Gigi Dolan versus Kiana James. After Roxanne Perez hits Pop Rocks on Blair Davenport, Kiana James caught the prodigy with the 401k. She then hit Gigi Dolan with an inverted low stomp face buster to take the win. And we get a face-off post-match of Kiana James and Tiffany Stratton. A few notes from the match. Each competitor said their piece throughout the night to hype this main event. James added a new wrinkle to her entrance with an animated helicopter. Perez nearly flipped all three competitors into a Boston Crab, but Davenport broke it up. Then at the end we get Wesley leaving a message for Carmelo Hayes that he would get a rematch, and the show ended with Melo telling Shawn Michaels that they needed to talk. So I thought this was fine, this far away. I was a little surprised at Kiana winning this. I was thinking it would be Roxanne or maybe even Gigi, and kind of a fluke. I wasn't expecting Kiana. I didn't think Blair was there yet. At least in her time there, but I thought it was fine. Kiana kind of steals the win, but she's been looking better and stronger, and I think she's earned her shot. And then what are we doing with Carmelo at the end of the show? So what are your thoughts to close this episode?
Yeah, Kiana was definitely a surprise winner. She went by nefarious means, kind of threw Roxanne out after she was about to pick up the win. So it was a good way to play it, and I think the crowd got excited to see Roxanne maybe win or Gigi maybe win, but obviously Kiana comes in and steals it. I could have seen them going with Gigi just to kind of give her a title shot, give her a big stage. But Roxanne was really the only other person that I thought could possibly win. But they given Kiana the shot here, so they obviously trust her, and she is getting better, and she's definitely improving a lot. So interesting to see her, and the heel dynamic's kind of different as well. So it'll be interesting to see them face off. And then we'll see what Carmelo had to talk to Shawn Michaels about. But definitely an interesting way to end the show.
All right. So then on the episode right after Labor Day on September 5th, you get the show opens with the NXT Women's Championship match, Kiana James versus Tiffany Stratton. We end up getting Tiffany ends up winning with the double jump moonsault, with retaining it, and we get this was a decent match. I mean, I thought Kiana held her own here, and we get post match we get Stratton celebrating with the title, and Becky Lynch appears on the Tron talking about how the NXT Women's Championship is one accolade that escaped her, and it's time that the man come around to NXT to challenge Tiffany. So next Tuesday, she'll be wrestling for the title in the main event of the show. And then we also see Carmella Hayes walking up to the building when Wesley rolls up, and they have a brief wordless confrontation. So anything to share on Kiana James versus Tiffany in their actual match here?
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It wasn't anything great or anything like that. It was perfectly fine. It was just to get Stratton another big win. And obviously to set up the post-match interaction with Becky on the video screen. So definitely a big match to look forward to. I think Stratton had been at Raw and Payback, or she was at least at Payback, and kind of talked to Becky in the backstage. So definitely seems that they have a lot of faith in Tiffany, and they have a lot of plans for her in the future. So definitely a big match, and having Becky come in next week. So a really solid opener to that. And then the confrontation with Carmelo and Wes just continues to push that forward.
All right. And we get the Creed brothers and Ivy Nile restoring Diamond Mine Dojo and talking about their plans to regain the tag titles. We get the D'Angelo family rolling up, and they all crack wise to each other before Julius thanks them for keeping an eye out for Ivy Nile. Then we get Idris Enofe and Malik Blade coming in, and they say they actually deserve the title shot more, and the bickering continues. It moves on to Ilya Dragunov versus Oro Mensah, and we get Ilya winning by pinfall with the Torpedo Moscow. How's that how you say it? Mm-hmm. Then we get we'll do the next thing in a second. So yeah, it's good to see the Creeds back with Ivy. We're starting to, I guess, build up to see who the next contenders for the D'Angelo's belts will be. Mm-hmm. And we get Ilya versus Oro. You knew this was going to be fairly, one-sided for the most part. I mean, Oro did get some offense in, but you knew Dragunov was going to basically beat the crap out of him. So any thoughts on this?
Yeah, Dragunov is awesome always, so he was going to have a good match with him. But I think Oro brought his end of it as well. The interaction backstage with the Creeds and the D'Angelo family and Idris and Enofe obviously is setting up some kind of maybe multi-team match to kind of set up who the D'Angelo family is going to face at No Mercy, probably.
Yeah. All right. So then we get Wesley coming out. Say normally let him know in the back, but he had to come out and tell him his date with Destiny, and we'll have to wait because he's got next shot at Carmelo Hayes. Dragunov then tells him he's a ferocious competitor, but he's mistaken because he's going to rip through everyone who stands in his way. Then we get Carmelo Hayes coming out, and he's saying that he knows two dudes whose jerseys he hung up in the rafter aren't talking about beating him. And last week he had a conversation with Shawn Michaels where he got all the advice he needed to hear. He tells Ilya that despite everything, there's no asterisk next to his win over them. Tells Wes the same thing. It said Lee took a risk and he took advantage. He says they're the two top men in NXT, and the Heartbreak Man decided that they're going to have a number one contenders match next week. We get backstage. Dominick Mysterio is tearing up literal WWE rulebook before admiring his purplish striped referee shirt. Nathan Frazier is interviewed backstage, says he's gone viral. It would normally be cool, but he knows people are saying that he's too fast. And to that he says never. He didn't get to NXT by holding back or slowing down, and he's not about to start. He makes his entrance. We go to break. Back from commercial, Jacey Jayne is giving Thea Hail a makeover in her own image with dark eyeshadow and a weird dark neutral lipstick. We get Gigi Dolan rolling up to question Jacey's motives. Thea unloads on her and says that she doesn't know her. Gigi admits that she doesn't know Hail, but she knows Jane, and she's just trying to help. So lots of storyline here. We get, the setup of the number one contenders match between Ilya and Wesley. We get Dom, being we know he's going to be a dick ref. We get Nathan Frazier, and we get the Thea JC thing with Gigi kind of sticking her nose in it for a moment. Anything on this story stuff?
I thought Dominick's custom Judgment Day referee shirt was pretty sick. So I like that touch. But yeah, just a segment with all the NXT title guys. Really solid segment. Set up another big, huge match for next week with Ilya and Wes for the #1 contendership. So another great match to look forward to on next week's episode on top of Stratton and Lynch. So and the other couple of backstage segments were just to kind of set up stuff that later in the night. So Thea Hail and Jacey, I'm interested to see that partnership go forward, see what that's all about. So, but yeah, nothing too crazy, but just to set up stuff in the future.
All right, so then we get Duke Hudson versus Nathan Frazier in a Global Heritage Invitational Group B match. And we end up with Nathan Frazier getting the pinfall with a Phoenix Splash, earning 2 points. We go back to the Diamond Dojo. Hank and Tank are talking about what makes a good tag team and enthusiastically asking them if they do the same things. Bronco Nima and Luchin Price roll up, and the two new teams bicker each other. Scrypts rolls up to talk his boys up. And we get Dava Kato versus Tyler Bate. Bate probing, uses his speed and educated feet, but Kato blasts him and grabs a Cobra Clutch, swinging him around. Short arm pop-up into a boss man slam, backbreaker hold. Tyler gets fired up, gets the big man up in an airplane spin. And then Tyler Bate wins by pinfall with a corkscrew senton atomico. So, yeah, big men don't always do well here. But any thoughts on the Duke Hudson Nathan Frazier match, or the Hank and Tank and Nima Price confrontation, or Dava versus Tyler?
Yeah, the big guys didn't fare too well in these back-to-back matches.
Yeah.
So, but Nathan was desperate. I think at this point Duke had beat Tozawa on Level Up, so Joe and Duke had 2 points, so he needed to get some points here. So good to see him be desperate and pull it out over a larger competitor, of course. Hank and Tank and Nima and Price just throw their name in the running to also challenge for the tag titles as well. So, and then the confusing booking of Dava Kato. Obviously, Bate is in this Global Heritage Invitational, so he probably needs to get this win. But just definitely weird that they squashed this into the tournament, and while Bate is in the tournament, and have this strange match on the side. So. Obviously paid off a feud that they had, but just another confusing booking of Dava Kato for sure.
Yeah, yes, certainly. So we get Dominick Mysterio rolling up on Carmelo Hayes, tries to relate to him, champion, but he's just a smug butthead like always. This is what the guy wrote. Mysterio makes his entrance. Then we get Lyra and Roxanne talking about how much they dislike Dom when Kiana James comes stomping through, throwing stuff. Perez tells her to relax and be grateful for the opportunity, and James says she took it from her and she'll do it again and again and again. Fight breaks out, and the other women in the locker room pull it apart as we go to break. But we come back. We have Baron Corbin cutting a promo, talking about how if you want to be something special, then play with the big boys, you got to go out and make some noise. He wants to see Braun Breaker and Von Wagner destroy each other, then pick up the scraps. Tiffany storms through the backstage and brushes off an interview. And then we move to Dragon Lee versus Mustafa Ali for the NXT North American Championship #1 Contenders match. All right, so we'll talk about that. Anything on any of the storyline stuff with Lyra, Roxanne, talking Kiana, or Baron Corbin, or Tiffany?
I mean, just a bunch of storyline stuff. Nothing super standout and all of that, but just stuff to push more of that stuff forward. Nothing super exciting.
All right. So we get our #1 contender match here. And we ends up getting with Dragon Lee going in and back out and getting a huge ladder from Ali back inside, tornado DDT, but Lee kicks out, passing Dragon into the post. Half Nelson lifts in the ropes, vertical suplex, jackhammer. Then we get Lee gets up, Liger bomb. Dragon starts arguing with Dom. Ali takes advantage, and Mustafa Ali wins by pinfall with a victory roll and a fast count, becoming #1 contender for the North American Championship. Mysterio raises Ali's hand, and Mustafa drops him with a lariat before talking to Lee and seemingly say he didn't want to win like that and getting out of dodge. Then we get Trick Williams backstage when Dragunov rolls up to chat. He said he meant every word last week, and Ilya asked him why he lied to Carmella about whether he could beat him, and Trick says Hayes beat him, and he can beat him again. And then we get Butch making his entrance as we go to break. So, the Dragon Lee Ali match was pretty good. I thought, again, another Dragon Lee loss. But Mustafa Ali's got to win at some point also and get through here. And then, we continue on with this Trick and Dragunov thing.
Yeah. I mean, Mustafa needs to get that one-on-one shot. And obviously Dragon Lee lost because Mysterio or Dominic had a fast count. So, yeah, I mean, there's obviously a story there. I don't expect Mustafa to beat Dominic at No Mercy. So, we'll probably get another Dragon Lee Dominic Mysterio match at some point. After that match is kind of over. And then, they continue the Trick, Ilya feud conversation and all that kind of stuff. So Trick still believes in his boy, despite them not being really partners much anymore. And doesn't think that Ilya can beat him.
All right. So then we get back to commercial. Drew Gulak, Charlie Dempsey, and Damon Kemp working out when Miles Bourne rolls up to do his job as their errand boy, basically. They all give him crap for going behind their back to Fallon Henley, and Drew tells him he better make his opportunity count. Then we get Axiom versus Butch with let's see, boom. It goes to a time limit draw. Actually, I don't remember much about this match. I think I hadn't had a chance to really sit and watch this one. Any thoughts on this match? Because I imagine I should go back and watch it.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of draws just in general, but it had a reason for being that way. I guess you could say. But I thought it was very good for the in-ring quality of it all. Like I said, I'm just not a huge fan of time limit draws, but I thought the in-ring action throughout was really good, and they seem to have a chemistry with each other. So, I would go back and watch it for sure.
All right. So we get both men square up and bump fists. Tyler Bate comes to the ramp to stare down Butch and wave. Then we get footage from earlier of Von Wagner where he preemptively apologized to the announce table for what he's going to do to it tonight. Then we get Gigi Dolan making her entrance. Back from commercial, the Angel family are talking about all their potential contenders when Humberto and Angel roll up to stake their claim. Finally, a brawl breaks out in the Diamond Dojo. Then we get Gigi Dolan versus Thea Hail, and Thea ends up winning by submission with the double wrist lock. We get Ivy returning to the dojo, shocked at the aftermath of the mayhem, and the Creed simply tell her they're glad to be back. Then we get Von Wagner and Braun Breaker walking backstage, and we go to break. So, we continue on with the tag team stuff, kind of trying to figure out who the next contenders are going to be. We get an okay match with Gigi and Thea. Thea continues her submission ways. And then, Von and Braun are about to, are gonna throw down. So, anything to add on that?
They're gonna wreck shop. Not a bad match between Thea and Gigi, but obviously to get a somewhat new heel character of Thea over. So, definitely an important thing for that. Trying to see if she can pull off heel. As her partnership with Jacey continues to grow, obviously. And then, the last little hype before Vaughn and Braun have their big no DQ match. Blah, couldn't get that out.
And we get Kalani Jordan chatting with Lyra Valkyria. Lyra's advising her that's only her fourth match and she shouldn't beat herself up. And then Dana rolls up, kind of is a little jealous, and Dana's saying they're friends and a team and won't be broken up. Lyra says she doesn't have an issue with Dana, but if she wanted to have a match, all she had to do was ask. And maybe Jordan will need to see if she can find some better friends. Tiffany cuts a promo about her match against Becky next week. And we get our main event here, which is Braun Breaker versus Von Wagner in a no DQ match. Moving forward into it, we get, Braun sets up a chair on the mat and goes to the top, diving Bulldog into the chair. And the straps are down, fighting over the kendo stick, trading huge clubbing lariats. Big gutbuster from Braun. Von sidesteps. Breaker charges right into the chair in the corner and goes down, clutching his head. Stepping on a chair to keep Braun from grabbing it, Wagner unloads with the kendo stick shots, throws it away. Broken, ramming him with the chair. Big choke slam, not enough. On the floor, Wagner throws Breaker through the set, dragging Braun over to the announce desk, clearing it. Breaker slips out, and they trade punches and kicks. Pop up. Von Wagner tails him, throwing Braun back inside. Fireman's carry. He slips out, but a low blow from Braun Breaker, who ends up hitting him with a spear. Post-match, Braun presses the attack and beats Von with a chair before throwing him into the steps. Setting his head up on the bottom step, he picks up the top step and swings at Wagner, and the screen goes black because there's no way to safely work that kind of stair spot, and you probably shouldn't even try to fake it like this, but, you know, it's supposed to be bad. So, anything to add on, you know, I mean, we could kind of skip over some of the Tiffany. It was a typical promo, right? And this Braun and Von match was actually pretty good, and I did not see this this finish coming. Not that Braun, I didn't think Braun was going to win, but the fact that they were going to do a spot that's so bad that we couldn't even see it, and they couldn't even try to take it. And it has to be probably one of the you know, most brutal spots that I've ever never seen before. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, the match was way better than I thought it had any chance of being. It's just great stuff, great brawl, weapons and all, powerbomb through the table. I kind of thought Vaughn would get the win here a little bit for some reason. I keep thinking Braun's going to the main roster, and he keeps just seeming not to. So I don't really know what their plan is with him to eventually do that. But yeah, this is one where I thought maybe they put over a kind of newer guy to the kind of higher tier of the roster to kind of, you know, put him over obviously one of the bigger stars on the NXT roster. But Braun wins, and then he does the brutal stair spot that you can't even show, obviously. And there were like reports that like this went wrong, and he actually kind of hit him a little bit more than he intended to. I think that was all BS, and you know, it may have happened a little bit, but it wasn't like damaging or anything like that. He didn't like really hurt Vaughn worse than it was supposed to be, like storyline wise. So I think that was all crap that came out afterwards. But yeah, brutal spot. But yeah, this match was a lot better than I thought it had any chance of being, for sure.
All right, so now we move on to the show from September 12th. We get our number one contender for an NXT Championship match. We have Dragunov versus Wes Lee. It was a hard-fought match by Wes, but he could not connect with the cardiac kick. Eluded then did connect with a pair of running forearm smashes to take the win. Afterwards, Carmelo Hayes walked out to stare down his next challenger. You know, then we get this could be round two, the rematch here, which maybe could go in a different direction, right? And then we get a lot of "this is awesome" chants here. We get Wes Lee nearly taking a win with a running Spanish fly. Mad Dragon calls his opponent off the cardiac kick, but Lee reverses into a tornado DDT. And after the loss, Lee looked dejected and angry. And Dominic made fun of Mel last week, so the A champion had challenged Dirty Dom to a match next week. And then Lee ended up clearing out his locker, walked out of the arena with his wife. It seemed like he may not come back. So, yeah, I thought this was a good match. You know, I really didn't know which direction they were going to go in, but, you know, Wes Lee, I guess there's more of a story to tell with him there. And then Dragunov, I think if Dragunov doesn't win at the in the rematch, I think that's it for him. He's got to go. Yeah. Right? There's nothing else really for him there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, this is kind of a shitter get off the pot kind of match. Like, you know, it's whoever loses is obviously headed for something bigger and on the main roster, because, like, you know, if Carmelo loses, there's really not anything else for him to do. Maybe a rematch to, you know, just a rematch clause like everybody else does with a championship. But if he loses, he's got to go up. And if Dragunov loses, there's really nothing else for him to do. I mean, he can continue to put on great matches, but at some point there just stops being a purpose to any of that. So, yeah, this match is going to be whoever loses ends up going to the main roster. I think it's more likely to be Dragunov, but we'll see.
Yeah. All right. So then we get Baron Corbin trying to show respect to Braun Breaker for the brutal attack. He calls him out and congratulates him for his ruthless actions against Von Wagner last week. Braun refuses to accept the praise, telling him that he did not care about his respect. The two agreed to a match at No Mercy on September 30th. And then we get Drew Gulak, Charlie Dempsey, and Damon Kemp versus Josh Briggs, Brooks Jensen, and Miles Bourne. Although Miles Bourne seemed to be on the same page as Josh Briggs with Brooks Jensen, initially he sent Jensen to the steel post. This sets up Damon Kemp for a win with a German suplex. Bourne then celebrates with Drew Gulak, Charlie Dempsey, and Damon Kemp. Before the finish, Bourne protected Fallon Henley on the outside, and some sparks may have flown between the two of them. Andre Chase are backstage looking for Thea Hail and can't find her. Two men backstage made fun of Hail, and Jacey Jayne stood up to her. Hail said that she needed to change her look next week. So, I mean, this match, the whole Baron thing, we're going to see him and Braun at the next PLE. That should be fine. I really didn't care much about this 6-man match because I'm kind of like a Miles Bourne heel turn. Like, what does that even mean to me? But maybe we could get Fallon turning at some point with the little chemistry there, because there was never anything between her and Josh, right? Yeah. And these are a couple of guys too. Like, what else is there for them down there, right? Are they ready for the? Or are they going to be spinning their wheels at NXT for a little while? Any thoughts on this one?
It really seems like they're spinning their wheels a lot lately. It seemed as they got back that they'd probably get pushed into being maybe the title contenders with Gallus and all that, but they just kind of been losing and not really doing much. Yeah, there might be something with Fallon and Miles in the future, but it just cemented Miles as being part of this new shooter faction with all these other guys. So there is that. I won't say the match was super exciting or anything like that. It was real quick, too. It wasn't very long. And I don't know. I like Braun and I like Baron, but I'm not like super excited to see a heel matchup with them two. I think they could probably have a good match, but just wrestling mind wise, I just don't think that makes a ton of sense. But maybe it'll be good, and we'll see.
Maybe a Von Wagner showing up in like a hospital gown with bandages on his head to like get involved in the match.
Yeah, have like a mask made out of a cast or something like that, and just destroying everybody. So.
Yeah, and have like Robert Stone holding his IV or something as he goes in. Oh God, what are we doing?
He does a double one-arm powerbomb to both of them. I'm just kidding.
It's not Julius. Then we got Lyra Valkyria versus Dana Brooke. Dana Brooke could not focus enough to stay in his fight. She flipped into a roundhouse kick from Lyra Valkyria, who sealed the win with a diving splash. It was mostly a squash. Both women, did what they could, but it was mostly a one-sided affair. Yeah, Lyra is basically, if you're looking on the depth chart, she's got to be your number one women babyface on the brand, right? If you're saying the depth chart, would you say that? Is anybody, maybe Roxanne, maybe as a contender, but I think Lyra's had more wins, or more big moments than Roxanne has the last few months.
Yeah, and she's a little bit more consistent with her wins. It's not like get a win, lose, get a win, So, they're definitely, her and Roxanne are definitely 1 and 2. It just probably depends on the day or the episode, what you would think. But Lyra's definitely at least the second or first a babyface for sure.
And we had some dueling chants going on of "Let's go Dana" and "Dana sucks" in this match. After the match, Brooke shook hands with Lyra and then tried to attack her, but Kalani stopped her. And then we have A. Thorpe trying to refocus the interview, but Dijak appeared on video making fun of him and smacking a nearby tree with his belt. Move on to a Global Heritage Invitational match, Tyler Bate versus Axiom. This competitive battle built to a furious conclusion, with Axiom trying to counter each big move from Tyler Bate. However, he finally got taken down by a rebound clothesline and Tyler Driver 98. Bate defeated Axiom by pinfall and earned 2 points in the Heritage Invitational. Anything to add about the Lyra? You already gave your thoughts on Lyra, Dana. So the Global and Tyler Bate Axiom. Anything to add?
Yeah, well, the Eddie Thorpe thing and Dijak's obviously that's continuing, and they're going to have another match. We'll see what that leads to in our next episode. But yeah, the Global Heritage match, it was another really good match. I feel like all these guys are really solid in-ring workers, so they're not going to have too bad of matches with each other, especially at given time, which this one got. So Tyler Bates always awesome, and Axiom, sad to see him take so many losses and getting draws and stuff like that. I think he only ends up getting one win throughout this whole thing. So he seemed to kind of be going up there for a while, but he seems kind of on a downtrend over the last month or so. So, but Bate and Butch were probably always going to be the finals of this group. So looking forward to that match next week.
All right. So then we move on to the Creed brothers versus one of your favorite tag teams, Malik Blade and Idris Enofe.
Those are your boys. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, they came out hot in the match, but the Creed brothers would not be denied. Julius gets a hot tag to set up a combination power bomb, Brutus bomb with Brutus Creed to seal the win. It started off as a possible tag team finishers for near falls. It was especially close after Blade and Enofe hit a version of the heart attack on Brutus. Angel and Humberto watched closely from the stage, and the family followed the action backstage. Hank and Tank came out to stare down the Creed brothers, but they got blindsided by Nima Price and Bronco Nima. So basically, the tag team scene is really starting to pick up. I think it's really hot. It may even be better than the main roster right now, I think, in terms of booking, right? Because what are we doing on Raw and SmackDown right now in terms of tag teams? There's not a lot going on these days. So
the same Judgment Day, Sammy and KO thing that they've been doing since WrestleMania. So
yeah, I mean, and some of the best tag teams have been split up recently. So
that's true. That is true. So, but yeah, this is obviously leading to some kind of qualifier to be the number one contender at No Mercy. It didn't happen on the next episode, so I'm assuming that might be a big match for the go home. I think it'll probably be the Lotharios, Hank and Tank, Lucian, and Bronco, and then the Creeds going up against each other. So should be interesting. See who emerges from that. But yeah, definitely setting up something to that effect. But the match wasn't bad. Obviously, just something to put the Creeds over and give them another good match and a good win.
All right, and we move on to a Global Heritage Invitational match: Nathan Frazier versus Akira Tozawa. Akira Tozawa showed that he could match Nathan Frazier's speed, but he could not hit harder. Frazier then sealed the win with a superplex into a Falcon Arrow, and Frazier wins by pinfall to earn 2 points in Group B. And then we get, after the match, Joe talked trash about Duke Hudson until Chase U MVP warned Gallus that he was ready to play the spoiler. Joe Gacy and Ava talked about their rotting tree, saying they were the only two strong roots left and need to build a new foundation. In an interview, Mustafa Ali refused to admit that Dominic gave him a fast count last week, even to the face of Dragon Lee. And we also get Gigi Dolan attacking Blair Davenport backstage until officials broke them up. So, yeah, we're moving on. I mean, nobody thought Tozawa was going to really win anything in this, Global Heritage Invitational. And we have a bunch of storyline stuff with Chase U and Gallus. We get more about the Schism, which Paulie is going to be adding new members to replace the two that just left. Continue on Mustafa Ali and starting this Gigi and Blair Davenport feud. So any thoughts on those?
Yeah, I mean, you joke off he kind of goes after Duke because if Joe wins their match next week, he wins the group. So that would qualify him for the finals to maybe go on and face Noam. So that was cool. Obviously, Schism seems to be trying to find replacements for the Dyad as they're, like we said, gone from the company at this point. And then Mustafa just playing into his psychosis with being obsessed with being the North American champion. So hopefully he'll have that. I mean, he wants that match so bad, and he doesn't want anybody stepping on his title shot. So, yeah.
All right, we move on to our main event for the night. We have the NXT Women's Championship. Tiffany Stratton defending against Becky Lynch. Tiffany brought her A game for the battle with Becky. However, the man ducked the prettiest moonsault ever, planted the center of the universe with the manhandle slam to win. This was an absolute war. I really enjoyed this match. I thought Tiffany looked great. Becky was great as always. You know, she was, it was funny. Tiffany's playing the underdog here, even though she's got such an ego. Sorry, but no, this and Becky gets the missing title that she had out. I know. I just really really enjoyed this. I think Becky is going to do so much to help elevate the NXT women's division. I don't find it as like, hey, Becky's a main roster. Why is she going to NXT to take away these chairs? No, I don't think that at all. I think Becky is going to do nothing but help out this division, because this division was kind of depleted during the draft. They lost a lot of girls in the high up. Plus, we mentioned earlier the injury bug, so they kind of needed this little shot in the arm. But yeah, I thought this was great. This could have been a PLE match, basically. That's how much I enjoyed it. What are your thoughts on it?
No, yeah, this got a ton of praise from people that I don't think watch NXT on a weekly basis. I think a lot of people tuned in for this one, so it did its job of getting a main roster superstar out there and putting her against one of the best from NXT, and they blew it out of the water. I thought the match was great. Becky didn't dominate or anything, so she didn't squash her and win the title or anything like that. She gave a ton to her, and I thought Tiffany stepped up to the plate. I think she was given a huge opportunity here, and she knocked it out of the park for sure. So, and it's not disappointing to see Becky win the title. Like you said, she can do a lot for this roster, put over a lot of girls, and have great matches with them. And like you said, with the injury bug and the loss in the draft, they need some depth, and they needed somebody that could, because we were kind of talking about that 4-way, like, Roxanne's really the only one that could probably step up to Tiffany. So hopefully Becky can have some good matches with these girls and kind of build them up, and hopefully those injured superstars will come back pretty quick, and they can, kind of flesh out the roster a little bit better.
Yeah, I think they're all kind of due back like in succession of each other. So
yeah,
I think by like the end of the year we could be seeing, a lot more depth coming in here. So plus Cora, you think about like look at who is out, like Cora, like you mentioned, Nikita Soul was on her way up. She was in line from what I was hearing for a repackage again was Wendy. So yeah. Lots of like decent girls who would have been like, and in that 4-way or in that conversation had they not been out. All right, so on to our final show we're covering. Appreciate everybody for sticking with us here tonight. Yeah, it's long, but we want to get back on to get back into our regular rhythm, which we promise we're going to try to do this as close to monthly as possible, so we only talk about 4 or 5 shows per episode instead of I lost count. We talked about that.
It was 11.
That's one more than 10. Okay. I don't know if you know Spinal Tap because you're kind of young. All right. So Becky Lynch and Tiffany Stratton agreed to a No Mercy rematch. Becky opens the show by promising Tiffany a rematch. But then we get Kiana. Tiffany comes out and demanded at No Mercy. Kiana then attempted to attack the man from behind, but she fought up both heels with a steel chair. The man recited a personalized poem about her future challengers. The crowd was kind of funny. They didn't really know how to react to some of the unique rhymes.
Yeah. It was kind of lame, I won't lie.
Yeah, it was. It was kind of weird. But it was A for effort.
True.
She didn't mince words when she called Stratton a better fighter than a talker. Then we go over to Dragunov promising he would be ready for his rematch with Carmella Hayes. He then ceded the mic to Lynch, who challenged Stratton and James to a handicap match. The family agreed to defend their titles against the Creed brothers, Los Lotharios, and the winner between Bronco Nima and Lucian Price and Hank and Tank. So the tag division the tag title picture is starting to open up a little bit. But, what are your thoughts here with the opening with Becky, coming off her huge win? And Kiana and Tiffany kind of like having this alliance here, so to speak, and then Dragunov, getting on the mic, here as well.
Yeah, I'm glad that they kind of fleshed out the tag team situation, kind of setting up that match for No Mercy, and the match for next week to qualify for that last spot. But I thought the Tiffany Lynch interaction was really good. I thought Tiffany hung with Becky on the mic as much as Becky said she wasn't. But I really think that was a good little interaction between them two. Obviously, we were going to get the rematch at No Mercy with the rematch clause and all that. It's definitely interesting to see Stratton and Kiana kind of be a duo, or seem to be a duo at this point, and kind of team up. And then Ilya cut a promo saying he's finally going to finish the job and do what he couldn't at Great American Bash now that Trick's not involved in the picture.
All right. We move on to a Global Heritage Invitational match, Butch versus Tyler Bate. We get Tyler going back to their days over at NXT UK. They're showing what made them special rivals. It was back and forth all the way to the final minute. After the big strong boy kicked out of the bitter end, the bruiserweight finished them off with the better end. The men of four were watching from their little lounge, I guess, with their Matrix-inspired gear. Butch interrupted Noam Dar's Neo impression. At the 10-minute mark, Butch reversed the Tyler Driver 98 into one of his own. Bate then also reversed the bitter end into a DDT, followed by his own bitter end. Butch got his knees up to counter the spinning boy, followed by bitter end for a shocking near fall. So, yeah, this was a really great match. I'm glad they're not fighting these matches under Heritage Cup rules, because I think that would lose the crowd. I think with this many Heritage Cup matches, but this I enjoyed this match. I thought it was really solid. You knew it was with these two guys, it was going to be good. What are your thoughts?
No, yeah, these two guys have a ton of chemistry. Back to the first NXT UK tournament, this was the finals of that. So they have chemistry. They've been wrestling each other for a long time, even just within WWE, because that was 2016, 2017, somewhere in that range. I don't exactly remember when that happened, but it was somewhere in that area of time. So they've been wrestling each other for a while, even just within WWE. So yeah, just another really great match between them. It is kind of weird to me that they are doing this tournament for a Heritage Cup match, and then they didn't do Heritage Cup rules. But I do think, like you said, it would be kind of burnout if they did all these Heritage Cup matches. And I don't think that some of these guys' style would particularly fit it. So probably a smart move, but also kind of weird in my mind a little bit at the same time.
All right. And we get another Heritage Cup Invitational match, Joe Coffey versus Duke Hudson. Joe Coffey enjoyed beating down Duke Hudson too much in this one. However, it gave the MVP an opening, and he stole the win by ducking all the best of the bells and stacking up Gallus Leader for a 3 count. So some notes. Joe escaped outside after Duke began to build back momentum. He caught the MVP on the apron and planted him with a missile dropkick. After the surprise result, Nathan Frazier was hyped backstage for a triple threat tiebreaker. He sprinted off to prepare. And we also get Thea Hail shopping with Jacey Jayne and found her perfect new look, which we'll see next week. So, Joe, we ended up having no clear-cut winner in this group here. And what are your thoughts on this match and the resulting what's going to transpire next?
Yeah, I think this was short because we were going to get the triple threat later in the match or later in the night to determine who was going to be the winner of the group. So I think this one was short by design and set up that match. So I mean, it wasn't great, but it wasn't bad at all necessarily. So we'll see these guys again.
All right, and we get Roxanne Perez versus Lola Vice. Lola Vice challenged Roxanne Perez more than anyone could have expected, but the Prodigy caught the MMA star with a roll-up for 3. This goal, looks like the goal of this match was to elevate Vice without taking away from Roxanne. This is the best she's looked since so far, highlighting her MMA background throughout. After the match, Perez offered to tag up with Becky Lynch, but her shoulder is too bruised for the man to let her. And we also get a pre-taped video, Eddie Thorpe challenging Dijak to a strap match. So, yeah, I thought, this was fine for what it was. I don't think Lola is there yet to beat Roxanne. Because I think Roxanne is still hovering in the title picture and still needs the credibility, and Lola could take the loss, I guess, right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely you could definitely see that they are fond of her.
Yeah, and that was shown that it wasn't super dominant of a win. It was a roll up that Roxanne got on her. So they obviously see something in Lola, and they're gonna obviously do something fairly quickly, it seems, with her going forward, of course. But yeah, this was another pretty impressive spot by Lola, and they obviously have something or see something in her and want to use her more for sure.
All right, and we get champion versus champion. Carmelo Hayes versus Dirty Dom. Dirty Dom struggled to find an opening against Carmelo Hayes until the A champion accidentally threw him into Ilya Dragunov on commentary. The Mad Dragon struck, laying out Dirty Dom to cause the disqualification. Afterwards, the NXT North American title holder threw Mello into a torpedo Moscow from Dragunov, then bailed. Dragon Lee bailed him out and stood tall with Dom's belt. Earlier in the night, Dom tried to convince Trick Williams they were alike and should work together. Dirty Dom attacked Mello before the bell, but the A champion fought right back. The referee barely found time to start the match. Mysterio caught Mello with a 619. The A champion ducked his frog splash attempt, then both tumbled to the floor. And also backstage, Schism tried to recruit Trick Williams, but he wasn't interested. In an interview later, Mustafa Ali decried Dragon for getting a title shot before him. And on his way out, Mello warned Dragunov that he would put him in his place. So I thought this match was fine. It was more about telling the story and moving things forward with, both men's titles and their prospective challengers. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, that's definitely exactly what I was thinking. It just was more of a story device to kind of push their matches forward. And Ali is mad because Dragon Lee actually is going to get a North American title shot on Raw next week, so before he gets the shot at No Mercy. So you think there's any chance Dragon Lee beats him on Raw? And
I can't see how.
Yeah.
Without unless there's some interference or something like that. Dragon Lee hasn't had the wins.
Yeah.
To me.
I just wondered why they were doing it like that. I just feel like it seems kind of weird, and maybe Ali gets another match against the new champion, and it's kind of screwy at the same time. But yeah, taking it off of Dom would be a bad move. But I just wanted to ask that question. The match wasn't bad. But like I said, it was a story device to kind of push both challengers forward and get Ilya in the match and show him being dominant as he heads towards No Mercy with Carmelo.
Yeah, I mean, also it's going to be on Raw, so that the Judgment Day is going to be there. I mean, sure. Is Rhea legit hurt, or is it storyline? Because it's with Nia, so it's believable that she could be legit hurt.
Yeah, no, I think it's storyline for now. Okay. But if she is out for an extended period, maybe it is real. But I think it's just storyline.
All right, so yeah, I think that also could lead to, Dom. You can't bet against Dom, really. It seems like. Because he's got all that behind him, right?
Yeah, true.
All right, so then we get the Global Heritage Invitational 3-way. We got Nathan Frazier versus Duke Hudson versus Joe Coffey. Duke Hudson threw around more of his decorated opponents for a while, but he could not overcome their speed and power. Nathan Frazier hit him with a Phoenix Splash, but then Joe Coffey threw out Frazier and hit all the best of the bells to win Group B. We get, Andre Chase had given Hudson a big pep talk just before the match. We got Nathan Frazier laying out both men running clothesline and a tope to the floor. Duke nearly stole the win again by sending Frazier to the floor and stacking up Joe, but Gallus later kicked out. And then also we get a couple of backstage things here or vignettes with Scrypts, Bronco Nima, and Nima Price winning money in street dice. And a follow-up interview, Hank and Tank promised to beat them next week. Baron Corbin gets into an argument with Josh Briggs backstage after Corbin made fun of him, and Brooks Jensen losing last week. So, I was a little surprised Joe Coffey wins this match, but we get him and Butch right in the finals to see who's going to take on Noam Dar, and then we get the tag team stuff, and it's like all of a sudden Scrypts is like street now. It's so funny. And then we get setting up, looks like Corbin versus Briggs is getting set up. So any thoughts on this before we get to our main event?
Yeah, Corbin Briggs could be a good little hoss fest, just to kind of give Corbin another win. And I hate to say this, but I think Scrypts kind of fits better in this little street savvy kind of thing he's doing with these guys. So I think that's a better fit for him than what he has been doing. So I'll give them that. And yeah, Joe winning was definitely a surprise to me. Honestly, Tyler winning was a surprise to me too, because I figured it would be Tyler and Nathan, because they both beat Noam, or they both have been Heritage Cup champion recently and had beaten Noam previously. So I figured it would be those two, but it was the exact opposite. But yeah, this was another good match that Coffee was involved in, so I may be coming around on him. But I definitely think it was more because Nathan just showed just absolute breakneck pace and just a ton of exciting stuff. But it was a very good three-way for sure. But yeah, just Butch and Coffee was definitely not the finals I saw coming out of this.
No, if I was a betting man, I wouldn't have predicted that. At least Joe Coffee part of it.
Yeah.
Butch I could see, but the Joe Coffee part I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Yeah.
so we move on to our main event, which started off as a 2-on-1 match, but became actually a tag team match with Tiffany Stratton and Kiana James versus Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria. Tiffany Stratton and Kiana James attacked Becky Lynch from behind before the bell, but Lyra made the save to set up a tag team match. The man then hits James with a manhandle slam, followed by Valkyria's diving splash to win it. After the finish, Stratton struck Valkyria and Lynch with a steel chair. The man demanded their rematch at No Mercy be contested under Extreme Rules. Backstage earlier in the night, they bonded. James and Stratton did, making each one better. Lynch and Valkyria look like an experienced team. They moved together smoothly, and the man played coach on the apron when she wasn't in. The center of the universe hit a senton bomb on Valkyrie, and Lynch barely stopped the 3 count. So, no, I enjoyed this match. I thought Lyra looked really good in this. Becky, crisp as always, and I kind of dig the Tiffany Kiana alliance because their characters are a little bit similar. They're both bitches, basically, just a little different kind of ones. Mm-hmm. But I enjoyed this, and I'm telling you, they're probably telegraphing it. I think Lyra's going to be the one to take the belt off Becky at some point. That's my thoughts. What are your thoughts on the conclusion of this show?
Yeah, I thought the match was really great. Obviously, Tiffany standing tall after the match with the belt was a good idea. I thought Lyra, like you said, brought her part of the tag match, and Kiana played her part as well. But obviously, this is about building towards that next match with Becky and Tiffany. It's cool that they added a stipulation to it, gave it a little more flair. But yeah, I thought it was a good way to end the show. I think this probably would have been a good angle to do the go home next week, but obviously they have other stuff that they need to build towards on that show. But yeah, good ending for sure.
All right, and with that, our marathon of catching up is concluded. Wow, that was a lot we talked about. A lot happened. We're going to forego our stock up and stock down since this is a kind of a longer episode than we usually do. But yeah, we have a lot happen, and there's a lot to look forward to. I'm really looking forward to No Mercy coming up, and we will be covering that on our next episode as well as the next. We're going to really try. Well, it's more on me because it's been I'm the one at fault here. Yes, I will admit for the scheduling gaffes, but it's great. I enjoy doing this, and we're going to keep. I love the brand. And I love that I have to, kind of keeps me honest with paying extra attention to it. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's like, I want to do this. I want to talk about this, and I want to be up on this because I really do. NXT is kind of like a brand that I've grown to love over the years. So, really want to continue on with that. But just before we go, Logan, is there anything you want to direct people to? Any new? I know you have a new show that may have launched since our last episode on the No So. I know you got a couple of shows over there, but anything you want to plug or send people to?
Yeah, I'll just plug a couple real quick. 2 or 3 actually. I'll plug Highway to the Impact Zone here on the PlayStation Nation Wrestling feed. We just did our Victory Road episode, and then the episode after that as well, building towards our next pay-per-view. Talking Docs is a pod that I do on the North-South Connection with Jenny Smith and Roger Morissette, talking about documentaries, obviously. We'll have another one of those coming up pretty soon as well. And then Linking Up Luchas is the new show you're talking about, going through Lucha Underground's history. We just recorded episode 6 of that, so we're chugging along. We have 4 seasons to cover. We're about a third of the way through season 1, so we'll see what more that has in store, because it's been pretty exciting so far.
All right, very cool. As for me, we're here on the Pop Experience, not here on over on the Pop Experience. I'm so used to doing the Pop feed. I'm so used to everything over there. Just check out the Video Jukebox Song of the Day. That's every weekday at 8 a.m. That's usually me, Steve, or Keith. I'm trying to get back to a somewhat regular schedule with Laugh in Theater, Blockbuster Rewatch, Pop Goes the Classics. Sticking with the live watches, but going to sprinkle in the Muppet Pod, the Disney Pod, Traders. We're trying to do that as close to monthly as possible. That's the Comics Pod. And Cartoons of Our Youth. We'll be back with a new episode, hopefully soon. All right, so thank you all once again for sticking with us. Thank you, Logan. It's been a pleasure as usual. And tune in next time to find out who's next. Take care.